to me, said, "Hey, did you see this?" So we've got a lot of things to discuss tonight. As you can see from the description, and I'll say hello to everybody in just a second. We've got a lot of things to discuss. Let me just turn up my hearing volume really quick. We've got a lot of things to discuss. First and foremost, if you guys are interested in getting on our podcast, that is mobtalkradioshow.supercast.com. You can also contact the show at mobtalkradioshow@gmail.com. I am not going to accept any donations on this show because I'm a firm believer in you don't collect money off of somebody else's name, and I'm not about to do that. So as you saw from the description, we're going to talk about a lot of things. There's some news out of Australia we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Mikey Scars and Sammy Gravano thing because there's some things that people aren't saying. And I always find it interesting how things get lost in translation. I'm going to talk about Jeff Nadeau for a few minutes tonight, too, because there's some things that I think I want to say that I just need to get off my chest. And I'm not going to attack nobody personally. I'm just going to spit facts because that's what I do. I've been sitting back for a long time watching a lot of different stuff. And there's just some things that we need to talk about. Also, tonight, we are going to be doing a giveaway. We are going to do a trivia contest. And the way this will work is the first person to get each question right, we're going to give away 3 different things. And the way we're going to roll with this tonight is the 3 winners will have to go to our merchandise page. And once you go there, pick any item you want, whether it's a sweatshirt, a mob t-shirt, a coffee mug, whatever it is, you're going to get it. So what I would request that you do if you are the winner is copy this down right now. mobtalkradioshow@gmail.com. Send me an email and tell me you're the winner. I'll send you the link to the merchandise page, and we will get your address and stuff like that and send it out to you as soon as possible. But like I said, hi, Joy. How are you? There are a lot of things we're going to discuss, and some of this stuff is probably going to piss off some people. And frankly, I really don't give a fuck. I stand by being factually right about things, especially about organized crime. I may or may not be having a guest come on. I haven't seen him in the chat. But there's an interesting story I think you guys might want to hear. But like I said, I'm not sure if he's in the chat yet or not, because this chat, moves kind of slow. I'm not expecting a lot of people in here, but that's sort of not the point. But I think just looking just really quick at my topics. First thing, really the rules here. If you're going to come in here and talk shit, you're just going to get banned. We're just not going to deal with that. So if you want to do the drama thing, please go to another channel and do that. Just because I just don't deal with it. And let me make this clear before I start this show, because people tend to hear only what they want to hear. Everybody that covers mob genre, be it Nadeau, be it myself, be it Lee Cole, or any of these people that do it, there is a wide gap between what's truthful and what's opinionated. And a lot of people think that I get on people because I have a different opinion. And listen, here's the point. We're all allowed to have differing opinions. The fact is, none of us were standing in a room where anything happened. So if somebody has a different opinion than me, I personally don't care. It's just an opinion. But where I sort of draw the line is when you rewrite history and when you don't bring out all of the facts. And that's sort of the juxtaposition that I find myself in. Hey, Chris, let me go into the chat and say hello really quick, and then we'll get started. Colodro, how are you? Seymour Scagnetti, Tommy Arlotta, how are you? Agnostic, what's up? Let's see. Chop Money, what's shaking? Chris M. Hey, thank you very much. Brian, how are you? Mob Kings and Infamous Rats. Terrell, I don't know if you're working tonight, Terrell, or on the road. I hope you're being safe. Joel Perez, James, my boy, Mr. D is in the house tonight. Easy Champion, what's shaking, my friend? Yep, people do get butthurt, and listen, people have a reason to get upset if somebody's like saying or horrible, awful shit about them. Like, I don't blame people for getting mad at that, but I deal with facts, and I'm not including anybody in this that doesn't specifically cover the mob genre. My beef isn't with anybody outside of that. I just think that people have a tendency of just not talking facts, and they want to invent their own thing. Nick, how you doing, buddy? All right. Schmucky Douchey, whatever. That's an interesting name. Look at this name. Schmucky Dusciano. Is that a real name? Hey, what's up, Randy? How are you? Where are you at in Canada, Randy? You prick. Billy, how many times I got to tell you, stop coming on here and saying that? I don't think, you know what, though, Billy? Of all the times I've been to Kitchen Consigliere, I don't think I've ever had a fucking drink. They give you the free sangria there. I don't think I've ever drank there. I mean, there's enough MSG there to kill you before you leave the fucking table, but you just like getting me in trouble, Billy. That's all it is. You love doing it. Come on now. Hello, how are you? Hey, you're welcome, buddy. Not a problem. Glad you're here. Glad you chose to spend time with me. Like I said, there's going to be another content creator going on in probably like 20 minutes. So I expect the majority of the people to leave here because that's just sort of the way things go. So where to start? Those of you who have just entered the chat, we are doing a giveaway tonight. So make sure if you want to win some free shit, you start paying attention. All right. So I think the first thing we're going to cover is this. So there was a report that came out, I think a couple of days ago, about organized crime in Australia. And what I found to be very interesting is because, everybody keeps saying the mafia is dead, doesn't exist, all this kind of nonsense, is that there were 51 clans of the mafia that are operating in Australia. 14 of them are Ndrangheta based. And it's estimated there are over 5,000 members in Australia. And that's pretty crazy because they see something like $50 million. And it just goes to show. And one of the unique things about the article that did come out and in the report by the Australian authorities was that typically biker gangs have always been sort of the big thing over in Australia. But what we're finding now is guess who's controlling them and telling them what to do? You guessed it, Ndrangheta, which is a little strange because when you look at Ndrangheta, especially in Canada, they have become sort of the overwhelming force, and they have been. And if you're a fan of the Canadian Mafia, we are doing a series nobody else has ever done over on the paid podcast where we're cataloging and discussing every single organized crime family in Canada, historically speaking. And if you're interested, there is the website down below. So I think it's a little interesting that Australia is being overrun. I mean, Australia, it's not just bikers. They have the Lebanese mafia. They have Yakuza. They have every criminal or element that you could ever sort of wrap your mind around seems to be operating in Australia. The Rizzutos had people in Australia. The Papaglias had people in Australia. The Catronis had people in Australia. Australia has always been a destination. Maybe the fact that it was a penal colony, may say more about that than anything. But I just find it to be interesting because, historically speaking, when you typically think of the biggest organized crime factions in the world, typically you're going to think of cartels and stuff like that, bikers, because they do control a lot of stuff. But Ndrangheta is just like insane these days. And Ndrangheta and Cosa Nostra have a lot of different rules. And then the main difference, okay, Fort Erie, gotcha. The main difference between Ndrangheta and Cosa Nostra is everybody in Ndrangheta is related by blood. That's the way the old Sicilians wanted it, but eventually in the 60s, that sort of bled out a little bit. But that's the thing about Ndrangheta. You have to be blood related to somebody. It's not like, oh, he's my third cousin, this, that, and the third. And just the way they insulate themselves from the hierarchy down is just absolutely insane. Jimmy the Gent, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see. The Dundee family, another great example. Irish Lassie wins by 5 links. Okay, so you've heard the story about Boston Andy winning the horse race. Yeah, please hit the like button. If you do nothing else, just hit the like button. So let's see, where are we here? So the other thing I want to talk about, let me just click this off. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is this, and this is the big thing that's going on right now. Uh, Mikey Scars is now all over YouTube, sort of doing the rat thing like everybody else. And listen, the guy's entitled to say what he wants. He is entitled to tell any story he wants. But there's a reality to this. And the reality is informants don't tell the truth. Mikey Scars is no different than that. And he's not, he shouldn't be held to any less standards. Well, not that we hold them to any standards, but he lies too. And here's the thing. Him and Gravano were fighting back and forth. One says he's tough. The other says he's not. One knew Gotti better. One didn't. It's a lot of nonsense because at the end of the day, who are they talking about? Who are they talking about? John Gotti. And it seems like that's what every informant does. So John Gotti, who's, been gone for a long time, is still the main topic of conversation. And I'll say this for the record, I never stood in a room with any of these guys. So what they say, does it hold weight? In certain instances it does, but most of the time it doesn't, because a rat is a rat is a rat. Because one of the things I keep hearing from a lot of different people that cover the mob is, well, Mikey Scars isn't as bad as Sammy. Well, he is. They're both rats. There is not a hierarchical structure to informants. I've heard that, Mikey Scars wasn't looking at he wasn't looking at any time. Well, that's not true, because when Mikey Scars got arrested, he was looking at life in prison with no parole because he was facing murder charges and racketeering charges. Some people have said, oh, he was only looking at a year or 2 years. No, he was looking at life in prison. But there's something else that nobody's mentioning. Somebody told me earlier today, he mentioned it. I wasn't able to look it up, so I don't know if it's accurate or not. But here's the truth, okay? And this is what nobody is saying. In multiple interviews that Mikey Scars has done, he has said that his money was stolen, redirected by John Gotti Jr., and then he gets shelved. That's why he becomes a rat. The first thing he said was his brother got killed. He was upset at that. The second thing he has said on the record repeatedly, okay, is that while he was in prison, his money was stolen. He was told he wasn't getting anything, and then he got shelved. That's why he decided to become a cooperating witness. That is what he has said on multiple occasions. Now, here's where I sort of get confused, because he's not really saying that. Now, somebody told me he said that today. I don't know. I didn't see it for myself. But here's the thing. That's not a reason to tell on people, number one. But number two, it opens an interesting sort of narrative. And it opens an interesting sort of narrative because he's saying that his money was stolen. Now, he has said, and I have the video, and I should have put it up, but I didn't. But he single-handedly had said John Gotti Jr. stole his money. Okay. The other sort of side to that was that John Gotti Jr. Was on an active panel of bosses. He was not the boss of the Gambino crime family. He was on a panel of bosses. He was not the final guy who had say on anything. That's why they had a panel installed, because it was sort of a majority rules type of deal. But here's the thing. If John Gotti Jr. was on a panel at the time, for anyone to absorb his rackets and his money should have and would have been greenlit by the panel. It wouldn't have been like two guys hiding in the corner saying, we're going to take all his fucking money. Fuck him. It would have been mutual across the board. So I sort of get confused, because Mikey Scars says a lot of great things about John Gotti Jr. But then he's got this whole other side to it where he said repeatedly the guy stole money from him. And I'm not saying that John Gotti Jr. did that. Not at all. Typically what you see when a guy goes to jail is obviously his rackets are going to be taken and spread out. That's just the way organized crime has always done things. However, in this sort of weird situation, typically, and I know one of the things that Gravano did, for instance, was when guys died, he just took their businesses and didn't give any money to their family at all. I don't know what the specific protocol in that family was, but I find it odd that he says all of these great things, but yet there's all these previous interviews that he's done where he basically says all his money got stolen and they shelved him. Why would, first of all, I don't know how accurate that is. And I'm not saying he was telling the truth in either specific case. I'm just telling you what he said for the record. And if that's not accurate, then he's lying. And it brings up the other point of, according to him, John Gotti Jr. was the boss. But he, like I said, he wasn't. He was on a panel and he didn't have final say in anything. Therefore, if Scars got shelved and money was taken, John would have been on that panel, which meant there would have been a decision to do that. So those are his words. I don't know if they're accurate or not. I'm not, saying that they are. I'm just simply saying I get a little confused of the love fest because on certain interviews, he says one thing and then changes up his story on another. And we've seen every single informant do this. Now, Mikey Scars admitted to committing 3 murders. Okay. Gravano only admitted to murdering one person by his own hand, but we know that Gravano pulled the trigger at least 3 times. He had a gay lover. He killed Alan Kaiser, who was a 16-year-old boy, for no reason, and he killed Joe Colucci. Those are the Joe Colucci murder is the only one that the FBI forced him to plead to. Now, what is true is that he pled to 19 murder conspiracies. There is a large difference and a large gap between a conspiracy to commit murder and murder itself. A conspiracy, you just need 2 people to talk about it. One guy does it, you don't tell on him, boom, there's your conspiracy charge. So when Gravano says that Mikey Scars was soft, he was weak, is not true. Mikey Scars was a fucking killer. Whether you like Mikey Scars or not, that is the truth. However, we know that Gravano continuously likes to be braggadocious about 19 murders, when in reality, it's really not that. Gravano was good at one thing. Gravano was good at killing a motherfucker and taking all of his businesses. Now, all of these tapes that are coming out, I won't even listen to them because we have been saying this for years. I've said it repeatedly. Why this is suddenly news now just kind of blows my mind. But we had said early on that when John Gotti is caught on a wiretap above the club and he's complaining to Frankie Loke, he's realizing 100% that he's done. And he's realizing that Gravano's lying to him. And one of the biggest sort of proven wiretaps that you can actually lead yourself to is when they're talking about DB. And Gravano had said he was stealing from him. He was bad-mouthing him. And Gotti is on a wiretap saying, he didn't steal from us. I checked with everybody. Everybody said he didn't take a dime from us. And then Gotti gets into the whole famous rant of he's got rebar, he's got construction, he's got this. And what this is this is Gotti putting together that Sammy has been lying to him nonstop. But for a rat to call another rat a rat, to me, it's just kind of childish and it's stupid because at the end of the day, a rat is just a rat. So it's interesting to see Gravano picking another fight with somebody. But at the end of the day, what does it matter? What does it matter? I mean, they're still talking about a man that they put in prison. Mikey Scars, listen, people took his money. If that's the stance he wants to stand on, then that's his choice. But I find it hard to believe how much you love a guy when you try to give him the fucking death penalty. And that's sort of my thing. And just because, certain people won't come out and dog Mikey Scars doesn't mean he's any less of a piece of shit than Sammy Gravano. They're both rats, which brings me to this. There is no hierarchy to informants. 0. An informant is an informant. And you don't have to believe me. And you can disagree with me. Listen to what informants say. They call each other rats and they say, what the fuck is this guy calling me a rat for? He's a fucking rat too. There is no difference between rats. They're testifying to save their own skin. They're getting sentence reductions, plastic surgery, mail order brides, whatever the fuck it is they want, they get. And the other facet to that is They can testify against whomever they want about whatever they want. The government does not hold their feet to the flames. So for anybody that, and this is like non-specific, but I'm telling you, anybody who sits there and says, well, this one's not as bad as that one, it holds no water, because an informant is an informant. Hello, Stefan from Germany. Exactly. Rico Suave gets it. A rat is a rat is a rat. There is no ladder in informing. You know, just because Sammy Gravano kills a 16-year-old doesn't make him any more or worse than a rat or a scumbag. The reality is a rat is a rat. I don't understand why people have lesser hatred for one over the other, because in my world and in most people's worlds, and even people who don't like me will tell you that, yeah, an informant's an informant. Are there some that are more high valued targets? Absolutely, 100%. John Gotti, for example, you never hear this. He had over 100 informants giving the FBI information against him. 100. Name me any other boss in history, regardless, that 100 men were giving information about him. You can't name me one. You know, and that's just, that's why I get lost in a lot of this stuff, because at the end of the day, I hear somebody talking about informants and what have you, and it's like, well, you know, he wasn't. No, they're all bad. They all lie. They all inflate. Was Mikey Scars a great earner? Absolutely. Nobody's going to tell you different. Mikey Scars ran unions. Bright guy, smart guy, but a lying fuck. And I'm stunned by just why certain people get kind of a pass and why others don't. It just kind of blows my mind. I got to be honest with you. I just, you know, let's see, a rat, a failed so-called man. No, absolutely. And listen, you know, the other people that continuously say things like, well, you wouldn't know what you would do in that situation. Yeah, I do. I wouldn't put myself in that situation, number one. And number two, I'd blow my own fucking head off. There's just no way. But you cannot, and I'm not defending Gravano at all, but you cannot go after him and not go after the other one, because it's all the same. They are all telling on people because they don't want to go to prison. It's not like they wake up on a fucking Tuesday and they say, you know what, God, today I'm going to turn myself in and I'm only going to say shit about me. It doesn't work that way. They never have a come to Jesus meeting. It's always after they get arrested. Plain and simple. You love somebody so much, you're going to try to give them the death penalty because that makes sense. That's the biggest fucking oxymoron I've ever heard in my life. Totally. So there's no such thing as a hierarchy to rats. And anybody that tries to play it that way doesn't understand the streets. They just don't. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just being honest. You know, Boardwalk guy, how he's doing? Let's see. Killing a kid is bottom of the barrel. No, it absolutely is. And one of the things that the government did when Alan Kaiser was killed was they put him in as a John Doe, and they didn't put his name or his age. And the reason why they did that was because anytime there's, like, you know, murders and stuff like that, number one, if it's a minor, you cannot publish their name in the paper. That's number one. And usually it's out of respect for the family. Okay. But even at the time that was put out, the Kaiser family didn't even know Alan Kaiser had been killed by Gravano. It wasn't until a decade after the fact that they found out. Not to mention, the reason why they don't mention it to the reporters is because if the reporters do, for some other reason, get a bug up their ass and they print his name, the second that Gravano goes in front of a jury and he has to admit he killed a 16-year-old child, what do you think that jury is going to think of him? And the government can't have that. They cannot have that, because the second that a jury hears he killed a 16-year-old kid, they're not going to believe a fucking word he has to say. It's the same theory and the same reason why they hid Gravano's drug dealing. They knew that if Gravano, and this goes to Gas Pipe Casso too. The reason why the feds ripped up his paperwork, even though he was a rat and I can't stomach the prick, the reason why they ripped up Gas Pipe Casso's paperwork. Had nothing to do with him shaking anybody down in prison, being a bad guy, telling the hacks to go fuck themselves. It was because he was saying what everybody else knew. That Gravano was behind a ton of drug dealing with Casso and Amuso. And the second that Casso begins to tell the government that, and by the way, it was backed up by Al Diarco and about 5 other informants. They were all telling the FBI the same thing, and the FBI couldn't have that because that meant that Gravano impeached himself. He perjured himself. They can't have that. So that's kind of my whole thing, is a lot of people don't talk about those sort of things and the reality of it. I think it was the ship, the USS Hunter or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Gravano backed one of the biggest heroin shipments ever in New York City that got caught. It's just, that's the sort of thing. And the weird thing about it is when John Gotti and Frankie Loke did their appeal process, they put all of this into their information with proof. And the DEA had to admit that they had multiple sources who came forward and all said the same exact thing, that Gravano was behind that. But the DEA tried to bury it. John Gleason, who would become a federal judge, who at the time was a prosecutor, buried that information, completely buried it. And it's provable. I have all the 302s. I have all the information. They buried it, and they buried it on the premise that they just didn't believe what other people were saying. But yet the FBI never once went to any of these federal prisons to interview a single fucking witness. There you go. It's just as simple as that. And absolutely, in fairness, DeMeo killed a college 100%, 100%. He killed the kid with the vacuum cleaner who, banged on the fucking door. Joy says my brother was swept under the rug and never got his closure. No, he didn't. He didn't. And the other thing you typically see with Gravano is that he intentionally blames everybody else. He admits to knowing things, but never indicts himself, never indicts anybody else. It's always somebody else. Did Casso get screwed? It depends on how you look at it. I think a lot of people feared Gas Pipe. All these stories about infractions, you're absolutely right. Gas Pipe would have fucked up Gravano's testimony 100%. God forbid you put Gravano on the stand because the government's going after John Gotti. And I'm not defending anything John Gotti may or may not have done in his life. I'm not defending that, but I'm simply saying what's right is right and what's fair is fair. But it always seems like that people that like to cater to informants tend to believe everything they say. And I've always said this, and I always will. If you want to platform them, that's your business. I'm not going to have a beef with somebody who wants to do that. But at the same time, I always have felt, show two sides of the coin. Here's the heads, here's the tails, here's my opinion of it, which doesn't really matter at the fucking end of the day. And well, you guys decide for yourselves. You know what I mean? Sammy the Bull looks up to Diane Jack Long. Well, she got Willie Boy Johnson killed. That's another one that's just disgraceful. Willie Boy Johnson was a fucking rat. He probably got what was coming to him, but she outs him in front of everybody because he changed his mind and was going to refuse to testify. So she outs him. How the hell she was able to even keep her law license blows me away. Gravano also doesn't admit he dragged his kids into drug peddling. No, of course not. Of course not. That was all of his sort of thing. But the sort of the narration that I have with this is that you cannot believe what they say. They all inflate who they are, who they were. And as long as you can accept that, then I think that's okay. But if you can't accept the logic that these guys lie, because you can't give me a solid reason as to what would put the onus on them, to be honest. They're going to get all their crimes forgiven. They're going to get absolution. They're going to get to keep 25% of all assets seized. So if you rat a guy out that's a millionaire, you're going to get 25% of his cars, his house, his bank account. There is no incentive for an informant to be truthful. And you can't tell me there is. Name me one incentive. Oh, they get to live. Okay. So let me give you a scenario. Anthony Pergiano, the last rat in this Philadelphia case, robbed everybody blind with insurance fraud schemes and everything. He bankrupted people. He had 5 cases pending in Newark, but the Newark division dropped all those cases because the FBI got involved and says, no, you're going to drop those cases. But because he becomes a protected informant, guess what? None of these people can take him to court civilly and sue him to try to get some of their life savings back because now he's going to be in WITSEC. And this is what the government does. But meanwhile, while he's ratting, they allow him to continue to do illegal things, which has to be greenlit by the FBI. But if you do any research, you'll find out that the majority of crimes that are committed by informants, the FBI doesn't even know about, or they just pay no attention to, or it's okay with them because it's the bottom line. And that's just the truth. As long as you can, as long as you can just acknowledge that they probably don't tell the truth. Do they tell the truth ever? I'm sure they do. But when your entire basis is predicated on putting other people in prison, there's a problem with that. You know, I've always said, and I always will, and I think even the people that fucking hate me will agree with this. Nobody should ever go to jail in the words of another man. If you catch me on a wiretap, I'm admitting it, fine. You get pictures of it, fine. You got a videotape of it, fine. No problem there. But nobody should go to jail based on the words of another human being. You know, and that's sort of the best way that I can say it. Why don't I allow comments? Because of people like you, because Chasak is probably a rat lover. You're probably a rat lover yourself. I don't have to put up with people that want to slander and cuss me out. And besides, let me ask you a question, jerk off. How ballsy are you when you're on a keyboard? Why don't you come say it to me in Manhattan? No, of course not. Let's just type it. Let's just type it. Johnny the Greek from London. Hey, Jeff, feel the same. Sammy likes to portray his bad chess player. Like, listen, Sammy Gravano was a tough guy. He was Machiavellian in a sense. But at the same time, he really comes into the situation. I'll tell you the truth. I don't think he ever would have been an underboss in anybody's family. The Columbos were going to kill him. That's why he got transferred. And I don't think if Frankie DeChico doesn't get killed, I don't think he's ever elevated to underboss. I'm just being honest. Everyone at Walgreens in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware says hello. I have been there before, WizKid. I have been there before. Listen to your show on the podcast. Didn't hear anything about the Catronis. Well, if you haven't listened in the last 4 days, it came out on Friday. It's definitely out. Let's see. Frank Ganji acknowledged that he was a rat and a piece of shit. Listen, anybody that acknowledges what they are is okay with me. I don't have a problem with that, but you're still a liar. I mean, but yet nobody, wants to say nothing. Nobody they just want to pretend that he's not as bad as the next one because he's not doing certain things that other ones do. All right. So, let's see. So let's get into this. Jeff Nadeau. I just, without totally going balls deep, because I just don't think it's worth it, because I am not a talking shit channel, but I am going to definitely say a couple of things. Number one, Jeff Nadeau said on a show earlier that you cannot leave the mob life. That's not true. I know plenty of guys that did that weren't rats. This is not 1910. This is not 1920. There has never been a rule that says you cannot leave the life. Because when you decide to leave, it's on good terms. They split your rackets up with everybody else. They don't give a fuck. So there is no such thing. Stop watching The Godfather, Nadeau. There is no such thing as you cannot leave the life. If you want to leave, you can absolutely leave. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Stop watching Goodfellas. Stop watching The Godfather. What you think you know, you don't know. Okay? 2, Nadeau said earlier today that Gotti was steadfast about the rules. Was he? He killed a boss, right? Is that against the rules, Jeff? And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You say one thing and then you totally negate what the actuality is. John Gotti killed a boss, hands down. And we can argue the parameters of that because that's what people like to use as fodder to sort of attack John Gotti. Oh, he fucking killed a boss. He broke all the rules. But did he, though? But did he break the rules? So when Nadeau says, well, he was steadfast about all of the rules, but yet he killed a boss. So technically, by what your imaginary thought of the mafia is, Mr. Nadeau, then technically he broke the rules when he did that. But the reality is, every boss before him did the same exact thing. Anastasia did it. Carlo Gambino did it. Vito Genovese did it. They've done it since the dawn of time. Since the dawn of time. Doesn't make it right, but they've all done it. And if you don't know your history, just look at the history in Italy of some of the crazy shit that's going on over there. The reality is, if somebody's backed into a corner, they're going to react and they're going to take over. Look at 1990s South Philadelphia. Do I need to go any further than that? So that's not accurate. Nadeau said nothing but positive stuff about John Gotti Jr. for the last 2 years. Now all of a sudden he's the biggest rat. And this is my thing. If you if you're going to do a YouTube show, first of all, I'm a civilian, you're a civilian. Doesn't matter what the fuck we think at the end of the day. But the reality is that if you, and I'll be honest, from day one, there is a content creator that says, listen, I'm going to interview informants and this is what I'm going to do. And I don't care what anybody thinks. And I have more respect. For somebody that does that than somebody that flip-flops every other week and 1 minute loves them, the next minute fucking hates them. Because all that tells me is that you never had a moral stance to begin with. And it's not that anybody expects anybody to have a moral stance. But at the same time, you lack credibility when you do that. It's just my opinion. And so if somebody is like a great guy, like Nadeau said for like fucking the last year, now all of a sudden he's a rat because he's angry with somebody else or somebody that's related to him or whatever the case may be, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but you know how stupid that looks? But like I said, I got more respect for somebody that says, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to talk to them. And I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I got more respect for somebody that does that. Because they're not hiding who they are. They're just straight up like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't care what you think. And it's okay for people to do that. I'm not saying it's not. That's their choice, not mine. But when you have somebody that platforms every fucking rat known to man and then suddenly on a Tuesday wakes up and goes, oh, I hate all of them. You look really fucking stupid. And that just means you never had a moral stance against that to begin with, and nor should you anyway. Because you're not a street guy. Didn't grow up around street guys, didn't grow up in an organized crime family, aren't related to anybody, don't know anybody. So you shouldn't have to have a stance anyway. But yet people seem to throw that around when they get angry at people. And the other thing, I'm going to see if I can put this up on the screen. Because first of all, let me say this about Nadeau. Nadeau does know some stuff that he's talking about, but Nadeau is a thief. He knows it. I know it. Because the thing is when I do things over on my podcast, my paid podcast, I cover topics nobody else on YouTube ever has and nobody ever will, because either they're not privy to that information or they just won't do the fucking research. The information's there to be had, but people just don't want to do it. And so I started getting emails. This is starting back in November. I started getting a lot of emails from people saying, do you watch Nadeau's show? And I don't. I really don't. We do two different things. And they're like, he's talking about X, Y, and Z. And that's odd because nobody else has talked about this stuff. I would know. And there are certain episodes where he verbatim, word for word, regurgitates everything I've done. That's the way Nadeau acts. That's the way he carries himself. He makes up a lot of shit. He does a lot of grimy shit behind the scenes. But I want to show you something, because this is what I find to be odd. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm not good at doing this stuff, guys. So, all right. All right. What you're looking at here is a printout from my paid podcast. Okay. What you're seeing here is big man on campus, Barstool Sports, Jeff Nadeau. Now it says ADU because he put in a bullshit last name. And here's what's interesting. Welcome to the Borgata is our sort of one of the tiers that you join. Now it says canceled because, and I'm going to explain why. November 13th and 14th, this was attempted, and now it says deactivated. Okay. One of the things that Jeff Nadeau, and this is just proving to you what I'm about to say, and I would have shown it from the actual website itself, but there are other customers' names, and I really don't want people to be harassed. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Nadeau has repeatedly, I've got dozens of emails from people where he's making up things about me, lying about me. I don't care about all that. That's just sort of the stuff that Nadeau has always done. I embarrassed him on FBS's show and called him out on his lies. He got caught for that, especially when he tried to say that he worked for two friends of mine who are alleged to be in organized crime, who have never heard of him in his life. He tried to deny that, but yet FBS, when FBS did have him on, acknowledged that, yeah, Jeff, you did tell me that. So I wasn't the only one he's told, and he's told multiple people. He told people at Barstool that he worked for Joey Merlino too. So this is a guy who has a problem with just being realistic about who he is. But anyway, the thing that I showed on the screen was him attempting to join my podcast. What he has said repeatedly, and I'm just going to lay it out there. He has said his show's better than mine. He does a better show than I do. And that's okay if that's the way he feels. But if that's the case, why the fuck do you need to join my podcast? I'm just curious. Well, I don't want your money. And the reason why it says cancel and deactivated is because the second I saw the email where he joined, I canceled it and I sent him his money back and I sent him a message. Don't you ever fucking try to snipe my material again, because that's what he does. And he said the other day, I've been doing this a decade. He hasn't. He's been doing this about 2 years, not a decade. So like I said, if you like me, you don't like me, it's perfectly acceptable. I have no problem with that. But when when you say stuff about me like that and you make up shit about people I know who are under indictment at the time, you're a piece of shit. And that's just the truth. He doesn't know anybody. He's never talked to anybody. He tells this bullshit story about a mob guy buying him cornflakes. It's all a fucking lie. And the thing is, he's talking about people that I personally know and I am very close with. And that's just the problem with a lot of people. They just want to be like this thing. I'm just a podcast guy. Nothing more, nothing less. But he used to tell people at Barstool he was Italian. He's Albanian. It's like, just be yourself. Just be yourself. And that's the problem, is that if you want to believe that informants are the way to go, God bless you. Best of luck. But the waffling and the back and forth of it all, I don't get it. And I think a lot of that's just because people don't know real people. If they did, they wouldn't do stuff like that. But that's, like I said, to each their own. I got no beef with anybody, with not a single person that does it. That's their choice. And even certain content creators that don't like me know that's how I feel about it. It's okay. Do your thing. I'm not going to hold it against you. You're doing content. But the ones that on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for a year are platforming every single fucking one of them, and then suddenly wake up and now they despise them, makes no sense to me. I'm just being honest. Just being honest. And here you go. Proof right here. Every time you discuss a topic, he talks about the same topic on his show almost very soon after your show. Yeah, that's the problem that I have. Like, do your own shit. Do your own shit. It's that simple. Let's see. Nadeau, is that the guy calling me every day about my car warranty? Yeah, it might be. You never know. He used to call me all the time about shit in Philly. You want to hear a funny story about that? Chris, are you still in the chat? Hey, New Style, go fuck yourself. I'll talk whatever I want. Why don't I talk about you? Get rid of New Style. We don't need him in here. What was I gonna say? All right. So like for those that don't like what I have to say, let me explain something to you. I work goddamn hard. I'm the first one that's ever done this. So when somebody does something, I'm going to speak out against it. If you don't like it, go fucking to one of the drama channels. I really don't care. You're not going to offend me with your little comments and all of this stuff. And for the jerk off to just talk about the mob, what do you think I've been talking about for 40 minutes already? Have I not been talking about the mob for 40 minutes? Anyway, so either way you dice it. If you like Nadu, that's fine. I don't. My thing is let him just do his thing, but just stop being such a fraud and a prick about everything, and don't lie. Just tell the truth. It's just that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple. No, I don't want to make him do the Houdini. I wouldn't wish bad luck on nobody. But nobody wants their work poached by jerk offs. Well, this is how I make my living. And if people can't understand that, this is how I put food on my table. This is how I pay my bills. And if you're just going to steal my stuff and then deny it when I have proof, I mean, come on. And he's on record of never telling the truth about anything anyway. Like I said, it's not about an opinion. It's just about stop sniping. And then stop claiming like you're a fucking expert when all you do is read articles while you're doing a fucking live. Jerry Capisci? Boy, he's making you that money, isn't he? No do. Think I don't know that? And that's my thing. Just do your own shit. Leave everybody alone. Stay out of the fucking drama. If you were so busy with work and researching, you wouldn't even have time to pay attention to what anybody else has to say. Really, truly. Anyway, that's enough of that. My family we are connected, a little blue collar guy. I don't claim to be a street guy, but the name, yeah. I just wanted to say I love the new horror stuff. Going to sleep with a nice horror story is strange, I know, but it calms me down. Yeah, it calms me down too, Johnny. And the reason why I do the other horror stuff is just to kind of keep my my shit together, But anyway, I dropped the link from my buddy Chris. We're gonna see if he can grab the link. Unlike other people, I didn't come on this show to talk about a ton of different stuff. I just touch on a few brief topics because where I make my money is not YouTube. You know what I mean? But if anybody wants to win swag, you're in the right goddamn place. You're totally in the right place. I'm going to drop the link. If anybody wants to come in, they're certainly welcome to. Except informants. I won't platform them. Let me know if that link does not work. But when like I said, when we do, all right, I can see. Hey, do me a favor. Give me the finger. If you can hear. Okay, so you can hear me. All right, that's good. All right, so this is going to be interesting. Uh-oh. It said not connected, so you might have to click the link again. Does anybody have any mob-related questions? Anybody have any mob-related questions? Okay, you're back. All right, agnostic. I see you. I see you behind the screen, but I got to get to this other guy first because I don't like to have 6 people on at once. But what I'll do is agnostic, just hang on and I'll definitely bring you on. Okay. Carlo. Okay. Why didn't Carlo whack Tony Anastasia? Well, the big reason why is because he was a rat. He was informing. And I think people knew about it. But I also think, too, if Carlo didn't know about that, the reason why he didn't was because Tony had a huge grip because he took over basically the dockyard, the docks after his brother was murdered. And he ran the docks really, really well. Really, really well. So that's probably why, reality wise. Let me just grab one more question here and then Chris, I'll get to you. What mob moment in history holds your thoughts the most? Oh God. Geez, that's such a huge question. Probably the biggest one. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, you know, probably everything that went down in Cuba, just because so many things happened as a result. The Kennedys got involved. The mob lost control of Cuba. Just probably Cuba, because that's what led to Lucky Luciano getting exiled. That allowed Vito Genovese to sort of do what he wanted to do. So all of those things, without Cuba sort of taking place, I don't think the chain of events would have just absolutely been crazy. And I think maybe the other one too is just the attempted murder of Frank Costello. But those kind of go kind of hand in hand as well. Uh, are you a chin man? I am a chin man, 1000%. All right, we're gonna see if this works. Hello.
Yo, can you hear me?
Oh my God! Hey, you're finally on the show.
Yeah, it only took 3 years or so.
Well, yeah, but see, it helps when you fucking try to put it all together. Agnostic, I'm not going to forget about you, buddy. So, for those that know, well, you know what? Why don't we do this? And without mentioning the prick's name, because you'll know as soon as I say this, why don't you tell everybody how I even know you?
Oh God, that's a funny story. So I joined Jeff's show. Well, not like 6 years back or so, 4 or 5 years back, and he had no idea who I was. I didn't have a Facebook account, and I wanted to ask him a question on his show that you got to do through Facebook. So I created an account just to ask a question. And when I created the account, there was like, it was completely blank except for like my name and maybe like one other little thing. So after work, I'm dozing off, taking a nap, listening to Jeff's show, where he calls this one hater who is obsessed with hating him for whatever reason. And I hear this fucking guy screaming my name on Jeff's show as I'm like just falling asleep. It was nuts. So this guy who has hated Jeff for a long time thought that Jeff was me creating a fake profile under a different name, just randomly using my name, when it was a complete lie, because obviously here I am. But that guy's had a hard on for Jeff for the longest time for no reason, really.
Well, they thought I was MRE too for a long time.
Yeah, they just have a bug up their ass for you, man. They're ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, and to each their own. I mean, every channel has their value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for a long time, you're like, oh, I remember you sent me an email. You're like, oh, I'm the real Chris Gorky, and I'm like, I thought the guy was just making shit up. But anyway,
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, to the people listening in the chat, can you imagine you never met Jeff? You just started listening to his show like literally a week ago. You're at home listening to the show, falling half asleep, and you hear your name being screamed over your show. Like, what the fuck? And then that's how I emailed Jeff and got in touch with him. And, I just confirmed the guy was full of shit because obviously I'm a real person.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you this, and listen, just for the record, like you and I didn't talk about. I mean, we talked earlier today about you, coming on the show or whatever. Yeah. But you didn't know I was going to ask you anything really, other than what we did talk about prior to this, which I will bring up.
Sure.
But for those that don't know me, who think, listen, it's not about proving me right or wrong or nothing like that. But you at least have sat next to me at a dinner table.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest misconstrued, not necessarily a lie, but what is the biggest misconstrued thing that you think people say about me that you have found since you've got to know me anyway, that is just bullshit?
Well, just that you don't know anyone, like you have certain friends in Philadelphia that are, alleged upper echelon guys. And, it's just what people do when they don't like someone. They just automatically say, "Oh, he's a liar. He doesn't know anyone," or I could confirm 100%, seeing it with my own eyes, to everyone that is listening. Jeff knows legit top alleged guys in Philadelphia. I've seen it with my own eyes. I have nothing to gain by lying about this.
Well, and so much so, do you want to tell them a loose story?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's crazy.
All right, so let's ask the chat. Press number 1 if you want to hear a story that most of you should not be privy to.
Oh, this is good. You guys are going to want to hear this.
So press the number 1 if you're listening and you want to hear an alleged organized crime story. one that won't get me in any trouble, right?
Yeah.
All
You
right.
gotta be
So we're
careful
hitting
with
one.
this
All
one,
right.
man.
So here's the deal. I'm going to give a little bit of the background.
All right.
So the background was you and I have been trying to like hook up and get together for a while.
Yeah.
And it just so happened you were like, well, you're down in Philly all the time and don't say where you live, but you live, not in Philly, but you're close by or whatever.
Yeah, I'm only like an
Within a
hour and
couple
a half
hours.
outside of Philly.
Right.
And I used to live in I'm not from South Philly, but I used to live in South Philly, right in the area where Jeff just happened that he goes to now. So
Yeah. So, we're trying to make plans or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take the train down because it's 90 minutes, pick me up at the train station
You would
and
have
we'll
been
go out
better
to
off.
dinner and have a couple drinks and whatever the case may be. Keep in mind, I don't mention really anything to him about where we were going to go, just kind of hanging out. Well, at the last minute, I had an attorney friend who's like, hey, I want to go to Philly. So I'm like, well, okay, this works out. I can, save the $90 or whatever. And so here's what happens. And this is what Chris
That would have been
know.
$90 well spent in hindsight.
Well, yeah, of course, absolutely. So what ends up happening is while I'm on the way down there, I get a text. Okay. And I'm not going to say who the text is from. What are you doing the hand thing for?
Oh, sorry, man.
Oh, no, I didn't know if like your sound went out.
No. We're all good. I'm
All
just
right.
glancing up every now and then, just watching the game. But go ahead.
So what ended up happening was I was on the way down there. I get a text from somebody, and I'm not going to say who it was, but this would be a text that you would get from somebody you should really, oh God, what's the word? Listen to. And says, oh, by the way, so-and-so is down here. It'd be a nice thing if you went by and said hello.
Yeah.
The problem is, okay, and just to give another background, is that there was an event that was going down on at the time in South Philadelphia.
Right.
And this guy wanted me to go by this other event and say hello to somebody. Normally I would, but the guy who was having the event isn't really a big fan of me. And I think, being old school, if a guy doesn't really jive with you, you don't go there. That's just disrespectful and you just don't do it. So it goes from that to something a little different, which I'm not going to get into. And I'm pretty much asked in so many ways, no, I think you should go.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
as we walked in, I think, we met you at Phil's place, Phil Narducci's place.
The guy he's talking about is not a guy you want to say no to.
No. He's a guy I love to death, but so I'm just meeting him for the first time and we're sitting there and I'm like, you're not going to believe this shit. And I start sort of explaining to him that we may be leaving where we're eating dinner and stopping off at this other place to go say hello to somebody. And I was kind of waiting for his eyebrows to raise because I always just assume people think that, I'm full of shit or whatever. But because I know Chris and got to know him, and this is a huge public thing, it's not a big deal, I think. But the lawyer starts distorting the reality.
Oh God, he's out
of what the real. First of all, it was go say hello, go pay your respects, be kind, be nice, shake hands, whatever the case may be. Let him know you're here. He likes you, this, that, and the third. But it somehow morphs into like this complete, oh my God, what are you going to do type of deal.
Yeah,
so you can pick up sort of that if you want.
Right. Yeah. Well, I remember when he's trying to like give you a little advice as a friend, you're like, everyone needs a Tom Hagen. Well, he wasn't a wartime consigliere, this guy you're talking to.
No. Oh God. So what ends up happening is, and I'm not going to tell you where we went after that, but let's just say that it's a place that you cannot walk into if you're not known. Okay. Just to be honest about it. And I have a dear friend that is at the place and I kind of run by him sort of what, I was asked to do. And he says, well, I'll, go talk to so-and-so and I'll figure it out for you and I'll get back to you. So Chris and I, sitting there and drink and just kind of chilling and he'll tell you, I was a little nervous, because you don't want to upset people. And especially
you're just looking at the best way to handle it,
Well, yeah. When you're kind of told to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, not doing it.
Right.
For my own reasons. But
right.
What ended up happening is my buddy comes back and he just says, I talked to the guy, don't worry about it, everything. We'll straighten everything out. But he's so mum with me and he's so quiet about it. My antenna goes up immediately. And I'm like, something's off here, because if it was no big thing, it no big thing.
Right.
But what started to happen an hour later?
Well, here's what happened. I mean, you just kept saying, and you called this. You said, you know what? This is going to be a real interesting night, man. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, people had to go move their cars out front and make room for a parking spot.
Yeah. So an hour later, the
Sorry
door
if I'm
opens.
moving around a lot. I'm just a hyperactive
No,
guy.
that's all right. So an hour later, the door opens and 100 people walk in. Well, maybe not 100, probably like what, 60, easy?
Yeah, something like that.
Who walked in?
Crowd. The party, the party that you were supposed to, the place he was supposed to go to before coming where we were at, ended up coming to this place.
So who walked in the door? You can tell him. It's okay.
You want me to say the name?
Yeah, I'll take shit if listen,
Sure.
if anybody's got a beef, I'll tell him.
Joey Merlino came in with a whole entourage of other guys.
Right.
And so, his wife and a few girls, I guess.
Yeah. And it was basically, there was, like he just said, there was one party, and it just sort of kind of migrated from one place to another. And I should have fucking known. When all of a sudden the DJ stuff was showing up at like 10:30, 11 at night. I should have fucking, and I knew.
You called it because the guy that DJing was, he was the bartender, and
only for a few minutes.
He was told by someone, go home and get your equipment, because I don't think this guy was planning to stay there and work.
No, he wasn't, because he had something else to do. I think they were having like a parade.
Columbus Day. The Columbus Day parade was the next day. And if they tried to march through South Philly, that wasn't going to happen. Well, the protesters trying to shut shit down, that wasn't going to work out.
Right. And so what ended up going from a probably 30 people, 20 people, it turned into the biggest fucking party I've ever seen in my life in that place.
Oh, it was a party, man. Those guys like to party.
And there are things that I think we saw that night that I don't think we ever expected. I know I didn't.
I no way in hell did I expect it, because Joey lives in Florida. We didn't even know he was in town. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I had heard, I heard through the grapevine he was, but I just didn't think
I didn't know. But yeah.
So, for those that do know, and I do know him, and I know a lot of the guys. And it was funny because I had a suspicion, especially when somebody's getting married or something like that, everybody parties their ass off. And, listen, Joey likes to have a good time, right?
Oh boy, does he ever.
And, he walked in, looking like you'd expect. And, people in many ways were falling all over themselves to try to get next to him. And I kind of get it. But I don't know if I'll ever get the vision out of my head of an alleged whoever taking his shirt off, whipping his shirt above his head and singing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Let me sum this night up. So the guy that Jeff drove down, that he wrote.
Oh, are you going to talk about the girl?
Yeah, this guy, his friend, is not like he doesn't pick up girls often. Let's just say that. All right. So there's not a lot of people. We're there earlier tonight. It's just a handful of people. Out of nowhere, this guy, he goes outside. 5 minutes later, he comes in with some half homeless girl, with the backpack and everything else, brings her in the bar, trying to hit on her, do her thing. She falls off the bar stool. Then the next thing you see is she has these little shit-stained fucking white panties or underwear that fall out of her pocket or something. Fucking little shit-stained pink. I mean, I saw a certain person's face. I think he wanted to kill the guy. so that's phase number one. Phase number two, we're hanging out. It's getting later on in the night, and in comes Joey with other people and his entourage, and they're already fucking lit because they're partying all day. Man, that guy could fucking party. And all of a sudden, halfway down in the bar, I'm just looking where his little entourage is. He's got his shirt off, fucking going wild, dancing on the dance floor to Philly Freedom.
Yeah, and listen, if he gets mad at me, that's fine. They can get mad at me for that. But it's the legends of just the stamina. Listen, I pride myself on being able to drink a lot and have a good time, but I have never seen an individual that's like a quarter of my size
Oh
like
God.
enjoy himself like that and still be like coherent. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That guy loves the party. I mean, that's what you've heard in the past from, other people would mention it here and there. He fucking loves the party, man. He's not a big guy, so I don't know where he puts it all. But he fucking loves the party. They're doing the jesters thing, the mummer shit. And yeah, he was fucking wild, man. That dude,
we had a
he
good
had to
time.
be hungover as fuck at the next day.
Oh God. That I meant to ask, our mutual friend that just went away.
Yeah.
I meant to ask him, like, how hungover was he the next day? Like, there's just no way. Like, I was almost hungover just thinking how hungover that poor bastard was.
Yeah. He was hammered, but like I said, he likes the party, man. It was a wild fucking night. A fight almost broke out because some big tall doofus guy was getting close
Oh,
to
geez.
Joey.
Now you're gonna get me in trouble.
Oh no. Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
No,
Well, no,
sorry.
I mean sometimes things happen. And I think the guy spilled a drink on somebody.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't a big deal or anything.
Nah.
Nothing. It didn't escalate.
Put your fucking
It was
hands
just
down.
like,
Put your fucking hands down. Remember that?
Yeah. I did. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Put your fucking hands down, you crumb.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Man.
What a night.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, we were trying to hook up and meet up. You live in New York. I live where I live. You go to Philly sometimes. So we finally meet up, and I was one for the memories. I can never forget that shit. I'm looking at fucking Joey there doing his thing, cutting a fucking rug with a shirt off.
You're laughing because I told Frankie the serial killer. I told Frankie,
God.
I said, you know what? I said, I'm not going to. I said, but I could tell everybody this fucking story. Like, and I'm leaving parts out, obviously, but I said, I could tell this fucking story. Ain't nobody ever going to believe it.
No, it wouldn't. Listen, you got haters for no other reason. If you just simply say, someone or, whatever, they don't believe you. So,
we had a guy in here just a second ago saying that I'm a wannabe.
They don't know what they're talking about. Like the only reason they say these things is because they don't like you. But you don't like Jeff, that's fine. But you really don't know what you're talking about. When you guys say he doesn't know, I've seen it with my own eyes. And you did talk to Joey for a little bit. Didn't you go to Val? You said, "Oh, hey, is that you?" I didn't even recognize you at first. You ever talked to him for a little bit, He knows you, so.
Yeah, well, it was funny because when he was on trial, he said to John Marangolo, who just recently passed away, he complained to Marangolo, he said, why the fuck that guy don't sit and eat lunch with us? Like, I don't know, because we're in the fucking federal courthouse building and it's probably
right. Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, those guys are all good guys. They're all good dudes, and we had a good time that night. But it was
I had a really good time. I mean, well, and that's what I always say. Like what people don't understand. To me, a South Philly guy's a South Philly guy. It's not the 1960s, and you're sitting there saying, you're in Carlo Gambino's house with them, fucking eating dinner. This South Philly guy's a South Philly guy to me. I mean, they're serious dudes. They're legit. Of what they're,
allegedly anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
that's what I try to.
It was a good time. It was wild. I mean, I think Carlo Gambino and Lucky Luciano were probably rolling around in their fucking grave if they saw what was going on that night.
Well, I think they would have been like, "Wow, this generation has changed."
Yeah, a little bit.
But you know what? The guy, he's got every right to do what he wants and have a good time, and he wasn't hurting nobody, and. He just was having a thing, but it was funny because right before we left that night, I said to my friend who I says, "Hey, thanks a lot, you fucking prick, for telling me." He goes, "Well, if I told you then, what would you have done? Would you have sat around? You'd have been nervous for no reason. Just don't worry about it. I told you it'd be all right."
Yeah, right. Oh, and you called it, man. You called it as soon as you said, I think Joey's coming. I think Joey's, and you called that well in advance. Sure enough.
I just, what it is? I know my friend very well. And there was another time like a year before then where cars started getting moved and I asked him something and he just kind of get not the side eye in a negative way, but just the side eye in general. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then like 10 minutes later, here you go.
Yep. Absolutely. And like I said, it's like you said, sometimes a party is just a party, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Ron Previty said.
How surveilled do you think that was?
Oh God. I'm definitely They're
That's
peeking around somewhere, man. And Philly's so jammed up with so many cars and little streets and
well,
alleys.
the
Like,
the reason why I say that is because that was the first thing the lawyer said. He goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to go out front. I'm going to get picked up on all kinds of fucking, videos and blah, 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 blah." But you know what? They kept that a very well insulated thing because I thought for sure Dave Schratweiser was going to be out front.
yeah, they did. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. Yeah. What scares your friend more? Meeting certain people that might not be happy with them. I'm saying the guy who you rode down with. Does he get a
Yeah.
little more worried about certain people that that don't like your friend, or does he
Oh,
get
yeah.
more scared? Does he get more scared when he pulls over to take a piss in the Pine Barrens and thinks he sees him? That's a great show, man. That was funny as shit.
both are interesting scenarios, but I think one has
Yeah.
a tendency to be hyper vigilant and worry too much.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not 1920. Guys aren't just going to like hit you with an ice pick.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Well, he thought it was going to happen that one night, but holy fuck, man.
Hold on. People are saying there's no sound. Can you press 1 if you can hear me? I got to wait and see. For some reason, they're saying my sound cut out.
I could still hear you.
Agnostic.
Yes. How are you?
Good. How are you? This is Agnostic. This is my buddy Chris.
Hey, what's up,
How you doing,
Agnostic?
Chris?
I'm all right. How are you, man?
So what's shaking tonight,
call me at a
Agnostic?
bad time, Jeff. I don't know where to start. I don't know. This this whole YouTube thing is a fucking joke. You're one of the only guys I really am left liking. Just the whole, the whole story, the rats being platformed, being able to tell any fucking story they want. Jimmy Calandra, there's a lot of people on YouTube know I knew him since I was a kid. I can't stomach the guy. Just story after story. John Panisi, he slandered a bunch of guys I know. So the list goes on and on. But what I really wanted to talk to you about, that ghost network that you have, I forgot what you call it.
Oh yeah, sure. The Tales of the Night Horror Podcast. Yeah.
Yes, I told you about Hoppin Avenue. Me and my brother taking the house over. Right. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I thought about this after, and I was like, how could I possibly not remember this? All right, I got a wild one. You got a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. You got a pen?
I got one in my hand.
All right, good. You might get a little confused, or some people might get confused because I'll interchange cousin and son.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, on Staten Island, a company that I worked for since I was a kid was on Arctic Hill Road.
Okay.
My mother had a house out on the South Shore, which is Tottenville, near the conference house, which I told you about. Well, Anyway, Arctic Hill Road, there's a mansion called the Kreischer Mansion. I wish I could give you more details about it, but I can't. It's always been rumored that it was haunted, but I don't know any big story other than he was a brick baron from Germany, and he built the Kreischer Mansion. And he built his son an identical mansion across the street, which burnt down. So when you're on Arctic Hill Road, if you look up, it's a big mansion, but it wasn't run down, but it was creepy looking, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so fast forward, I've been passing it for years, from the time I'm 10 on. Well, anyway, a guy, John Ippolito, had a company over there, and Jimmy McBratney's nephew gives me a call and says, look, you're out of work. Why don't you come with me? I'm doing the Kreischer Mansion. I says, what are you doing? I'm in trucking and heavy equipment. So there's a berm. I don't know if you can Google Earth it, or I don't know if it'll actually show you the detail. So we burned the property down to the road.
Oh, wow.
So check this one out. We get there, and him and I are alone. We're just bringing the equipment, setting the job up, a dozer and a loader, right?
Right.
So he proceeds to tell me, my cousin had a restaurant in here. Now, his cousin is Jimmy's son, Joey. So
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you know where this is going to end? This gets wild.
I know exactly where this is going to end. There was a body there, right?
Yeah, but a little more interesting for me anyway.
I know what you're gonna say, but go ahead and finish.
All right, so we bring the equipment, and he tells me, he's telling me that Joey had a restaurant there, and he screwed a wise guy over out of a fish deal, the fish deal, right? So Joey got smacked up. Him and I never liked Joey, right, since we were kids, but that's just a regular thing. So anyway, we dropped the equipment. Whatever day it was, we show up. I think it was 2 days later, and there's this black BMW there, but it's an older one. At the time, it was, let's say, 5, 6 years old, right? Wasn't brand new, and it had Marine. I'll never forget this. I think it was Ohio plates and Marine Corps stickers on the window.
Right.
So we're having our coffee. We start the equipment, and this young, light-skinned black kid comes out, and we're like, "All right, what's going on here?" He comes walking up, and he explains to us that he's the what do you call that? Caretaker. He takes care of the place for the owners.
Right.
Okay. Nice as hell. Jeff, this kid was just a prince. He would go, he'd get us coffee, get us lunch. Just a really, really nice kid. He was in the Marine Corps. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Ohio, but I'm not positive. So we do the job. We burn up the property. We leave. Not too long after, somebody tells me to read the paper, and it's in the Advent. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I'm reading the name, and I'm like, I don't remember if that was his name or not. Well, it turns out that they came to this kid and paid him to clip somebody.
Yep.
So he winds up knifing the guy. The guy runs across the yard to where we had the machines parked, but this is after we're gone.
Right.
Winds up knifing the guy. He doesn't finish it. The guy gets up and starts running again. So he goes after him again. Knifes him. Now he doesn't know what to do. He brings him into the mansion and puts him in the furnace.
Jesus Christ.
But supposedly, Joey, I remember Joey telling me, oh, yeah, but Joey was such a chronic bullshit artist. You didn't know what to believe. And he used to tell me, oh, yeah, you would hear screams and creaking. And I wish I could tell you more as far as, 3 people died or whatever. I can't. I just always heard it was haunted. But I never really heard, a story behind the haunting. But the homicide really happened. And it turned out, and I was shocked when I realized it was that kid. He was the one that clipped him.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was, just talk about a guy that you meet and say, wow, what a really nice kid.
Yeah,
yep.
Well, I think I saw something about that on TV, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't remember where, but that's how I knew where you were going, because I remember seeing something about it. I think they almost did a ghost hunt there.
All right. Just don't tell me the bio channel, because then I'll know that they just told a totally false version.
No, I can't. To be honest with you, I can't remember what channel it was on.
Was that McBratney? Was he related to the guy that was kidnapped?
Jimmy.
Kidnapped Gambino's nephew or whatever?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Joey was his son, and I don't want to say his first name. Was Joey's cousin, his nephew. There were 3 brothers. There was Jimmy, Carl, and Ronnie. But yeah, that whole area, man. There was a kid I was locked up with. I used to have to go to court with them from Brooklyn House. We used to have to get transported, cuffed to each other. He killed Jimmy Zappalotti around the corner. There was another homicide right down the road. On Johnson, they wind up clipping this kid that I was dating, his sister, all in that little area. And then, of course, the most infamous one was when Gussie got hemmed up for killing, what's his name, Hatcher. Which I still think that case is bullshit. So, yeah, all in that area. It's a wild... Oh, and Richard Begenwald. Let's not forget him.
Nope, no, not at all.
And he's right. If you look at a map, Jeff, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like, wait, you could walk from each of these spots.
Yeah,
you don't even
Chris,
need to have a car.
I'm not leaving. I just have to do something. I have to turn my oven off really quick, so I'm going to mute. So you guys just talk for a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So where are you from, Philly?
No, I used to live in Philly. I live up in Jeff didn't want me to say where I live, but I really don't care. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, outside of Scranton. Yeah. You know who lives right down the road from me? Or who did for 30 plus years? Russell Buffalino.
Oh, really?
Yep, lives right down the road from me. What's that?
You want to hear something? Well, you want to hear something comical?
Sure.
If I got in my car right now, you know they talk about his upstate house? If I got in my car right now, it would take me 35 minutes to get to his upstate house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was that like in Elmira or something?
Catskill.
Oh, he lived. Okay. I know. You know, what the funny thing with him is there's a lot of like certain current info, but there's not a lot known about Buffalino when he was coming up, you know.
All right, no fire.
There you go. He's back. House is still.
Whiz Kid, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jeff? What's good, bro?
What's up, man? I love your avatar. It's fantastic.
Dude, thank you, guys. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't pronounce that name. I appreciate you letting me come on.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I was setting my own fucking house on fire a second ago. I'm like, what's
Yeah,
burning?
you
Actually, the stove.
You don't want to do that, Jeff. I mean, you might get some insurance money.
You know what's crazy about what you just said is not a year and a half ago, the apartment that I'm in now was on fire.
What?
Yeah, I was living on the third floor. They moved me to a different floor. A girl had a guy in here, and I guess he got mad because you know how guys and girls can get. And rather than like, I guess, walk out, he punched her in the face and then threw lighter fluid all over the apartment and lit it.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. That's not funny, but
it was kind of funny, but it wasn't.
No, it's not. But
I was like, please burn everything in my apartment. I want an insurance claim.
But anyway, I got on here because I wanted to say Sammy's a rat scumbag, and he deserves everything he gets if he gets anything, which he should. But,
yeah, that's kind of the way I see it too, my friend.
And Chris, I'm in. It's nice to meet you too, bro. You seem pretty cool.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. You want to hear a funny story? When you mentioned about the fire, it made me think about something. There's a nightclub, little nightclub not far from where I live. Well, it's not there anymore. So the owner of this nightclub was trying to get rid of it, right? It was only open on the weekends. And he was asking $300,000 for it. And no one was interested at $300,000 because, well, as soon as he put it up, it was like the weekend later, a person got shot and killed in a nightclub in this club. So the owner trying to sell it is like, shit, no one's going to buy this thing now. I'm going to drop the price down from $300,000 to $200,000. So he drops the price down to $200,000. The next weekend, another person gets killed in the club. So now he's like, oh my, this is bad. So now he drops the price down from 200,000 to 100,000. And then no one was buying it. So he just set the thing on fire, trying to collect the money, and he got caught and went to jail. It was just funny how like every murder that happened each weekend, he knocked the price down 100,000.
Wow, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
You guys, I'll tell you guys a story. This is a story that Chris is familiar with, just because we were talking about it. I would love to tell you guys who it is, but I just can't. But so let me just put you in a scenario. Let's pretend you're in a scenario where you say a couple of things you probably shouldn't have about somebody. It gets back to them, and they're not really too happy. And this guy has a reputation in the street. So when a guy has a reputation in the street, it's not just bullshit. You just kind of know what the motherfucker is capable of. So
right.
Anyway, the long end of it is I end up at Margate's or Memories at Margate. And I'm with a friend of mine and another guy who shall remain nameless. And my buddy knows that this other fella is a little pissed off at him and whatever. And so we're drinking, having a good time. Jerry Blavlet's there. We get to meet him. He was a great guy. And then at one point, this guy who shall be unnamed says, if you guys want to drink, you can drink all night. Come stay at my house on the shore. And I'm like thinking, man, that'd be fucking fantastic. I don't got to drive back to New York. So he gets up to go away to talk to Jerry. My friend says, there is no fucking way I'm staying at this guy's fucking house. He goes, Jeff, in the middle of the fucking night, this motherfucker is going to pull a butcher knife and he's going to staple us to a chair and interrogate us all fucking night. He was paranoid the guy was going to kill him.
That's
And if you
funny.
knew who I was talking about, you'd understand it. But it was like the guy was just trying to be nice, but I kind of get it on a certain level.
Well,
Go
bro,
ahead, keep drinking, Kujin. Have a good time on me. Don't worry about it. I'm like, nah, I'm not getting drunk. I'm not stupid. I'm not going for a short boat ride.
Yeah, right.
my grandfather
I
always tells me,
grew
"Watch
up
who I
like
go
that.
fishing with." You know what I'm saying?
I grew up like that, Jeff. Yeah, that was a reoccurring thing in my life. You know, come on, come hang out. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm gonna stay home and play the game. That's how I am.
The thing is I'm sitting there and like, listen, and this is the God's honest truth. And this is what, and when I say civilians, I don't mean this as a disparaging thing. And I'm not trying to say that I'm not, or I am, or whatever. But when you know guys like this your whole life and you grow up around them, it doesn't matter how well you think you get along, because at a moment's notice, forget it.
Oh, it's like a
just-
switch. It's a switch.
Total switch. You can be on top of the world tomorrow, and 10 minutes later, something you said could have been taken as a slight, and you're wondering why the guy's just sitting there smirking, you know?
Right. Hey, get his fucking balls off. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit. I know exactly what you're talking about, Jeff.
The only life where you got to be careful with every little word that comes out of your mouth.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Well, and I think the big misunderstanding that a lot of people have, and agnostic will know, just because murder is taken off the table because of a moratorium, go ahead and rob a guy and see what happens.
Oh no, you can do something with the
Don't
fishes.
underestimate it.
You know, and I
Don't
think that the
downplay it.
average person really truly believes you can talk your way out of any situation. You can't.
No.
There's certain rules you gotta abide by, and respect is a big part of it. And I think what a lot of people fail to understand is sitting on a platform just trashing people, not to take it in that direction. I don't think they realize how many people are watching, you know?
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact, Jeff,
Especially
there's
people of importance.
watching.
Yeah.
There were guys watching this that are somebody that grew up where I grew up. I can tell you that as a fact. And they know who they are. They don't comment. They don't come on shows, but they watch.
We got 2 in the chat room right now, and nobody would know it.
Yep. But
There you go.
I got a funny one. Jeff, I was at an after hours.
Yeah.
You heard all of the Tony Graziano stories.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was an after hours where his joint was on. A lot of stuff happened with me right there, right in that little area. But where his joint was, it was called Hips. And my friend Wayne was one of his bouncers. He's doing life now. He's up in Elmira. And but anyway, oh yeah, we were a rough crowd.
I'll pray for you.
And there was an after hours upstairs on top of the body shop. You would have never known it. And I was in there, and the one night I wind up telling my friend, I said, "Let's go." I thought somebody was getting clipped, is what I thought. I seen 2 guys come in. I didn't like the vibe. I didn't like the way they were looking. I didn't have nothing on me. I told my guy, I said, "Listen, we got to get out of here." Nah, we just got it. I said, "No, we're leaving." Sure enough, man, an hour later, they raided it. They were undercovers. I just read it wrong, probably because I was drinking and I was skiing. And so we escaped that one.
But you knew something was up, though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I got a real bad. Like I thought. Well, like I said, I thought they were going to clip somebody. You know, that's what I thought. But in reality, it turned out they were undercovers. So, and then another time I was in there, and I was being. I can't remember it because I was a little too loaded. But I was saying that there was a big guy, a real big guy. Very, you know, he was the real deal, and apparently I was saying I would invite him to my prick, and I would smack the fucking, I'd smack the gold glasses off his head, but no one knew the way I do. That's my sense of humor, so I can't honestly say that I didn't mean it, but the odds were high that I was just being funny with my friends, you know, like knowing that I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But I was just being an asshole, and he was great. He was great. I loved him. He came to me in his car by himself, nobody with him, gets out. Come here, take a walk. Did you say this? And I said, probably. And he goes, I'll never forget it. He looks at me, he goes, fucking probably. What do you mean probably? You don't know if you said it or not? I said, no, man, I was loaded. I probably did, but I was just joking. Oh, you were joking. Well, there we are. 20 minutes later, he's buying me coffee. The guy was great, but I thought I was gonna die.
Well, yeah, you know what? I have almost an identical story to that, and this took place in the last couple of years. Is that since I've been doing this show, I say things sometimes just as breaking balls, not really being serious, never thinking in a million years you're ever going to run into the motherfucker you're talking about. And I can't say where I was because let me just say I was in a federal courthouse. Okay. And I'm there and I sit down and I sit on the right-hand side, which is all the FBI agents and whatever, and all the good fellas to the left. And I'll never forget looking over and I see the guy and I'm like, he's staring at me. And I went, oh shit, this is going to be a problem because he's giving me the eye, like he's twitching, like he's just ready to go. So he sits there and keeps staring at me. Finally, the guy I'm with gets up and leaves. And I see this guy get up and he's making a beeline for me. And I'm like, oh, Christ. And he slides in right next to me and he's so fucking slick. Keep in mind, there's like trial testimony going on. This guy puts his arm on top of the, I want to say pew, like a fucking church, but he puts his arm down and he goes, do you fucking, he literally, this is what he says to me. Do you fucking know who I am? And I said, yeah, of course I know who you are. And I call him by his first name. He goes, you don't know me. I said, all right. And he says, let me ask you something. Do you think I'm a fat this, that? And he's like repeating to me everything that I've ever said. And at that point, you're dealing with a guy that's serious, right? And just to amplify it, he takes his hand and he makes the sign of a gun. And he says, I've done this 9 times. One more won't fucking kill me. We can go outside right fucking now and strap the fuck up.
That's crazy. That story is, man.
And the funniest thing about that is he gets up and walks away and I'm about to shit my pants. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm like, okay, I have 2 choices. I can get the fuck up and I can walk out and I can just be a pussy about it. Or I can be like a tough guy. What's he going to do? There's FBI agents all around. He's not going to do shit. So I just sit there mainly because I was afraid I was going to shit my pants. And like 5 minutes later, he gets up again. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it with this guy? He's going to go for round fucking 2. He sits down again. He does the same shit. He goes, listen, so let me tell you something. He goes, you don't know me. You can say whatever the fuck it is you want to say about me, but you get to know me. And if you still have that fucking opinion about me, then it is what it is. And then we became best friends.
That's respect, bro. That's high respect, bro.
And,
and
then, like, I think it was like the next day or the day after in court, he sees me and I stay away from him. I let them do their thing. And he's waving at me and he goes, come here. And I'm like, what? He goes, let me tell you something. The rats sit on the right. The good guys sit on the left. You sit next to me and the guys. I was like, all right.
I think the favorite story that I've ever heard you tell, Jeff, is the story. There's 2. It's the one where Scarfo threw the fucking horse off the fucking cliff, bro. That shit
he clipped the horse, yeah.
And the other one is, man, I just lost it, man. It's cool. Sorry. I'm sitting here laughing.
Yeah, for those that know and those that don't know, Nicky Scarfo, for whatever reason, decided to ride a goddamn horse. All right. And the horse, at some point, decides he doesn't want Nicky on his back. So he bumps Nicky off of him. And Nicky's way of dealing it was to grab the reins and threaten to kill the horse. And what does Nicky do? He kills the fucking horse and has it thrown off the cliff.
He really does, bro.
I never met the guy, but I heard he was nuts. I never even saw
him. I know a couple of his cousins, and they tell me some wild shit.
Wasn't he short? He was like 4'9" and nothing but straight muscles, right?
Yeah, he was straight Brooklyn, New York. That's where he was from, and but he
who just said that. Wicked.
Just the mere fact that he whacked a horse. It's like the horse. Could you imagine the psychosis that goes into thinking that a horse intentionally just threw you off because you are who you are? That's the juxtaposition for his whole life, if you really think about it.
Imagine if you're like after that happened, you're one of Scarfo's underlings, and you just get that fucking horse.
Right, like Jeff said, if he's having a bad day, you might get clipped. Like it was just like Roy DeMeo. If he's having a bad day, you might get clipped.
Yeah, but let me tell you something with the whole size thing. We were talking before about not taking rides with guys or feeling uneasy.
Yeah.
I had different periods in my life, and this is one of my wilder ones. They were looking to kill me. They already shot me twice. I mean, I was a mess. My whole life was chaotic, and they wind up wanting to put me with this guy, and I could see he passed away. He became my best friend, and Michael was just almost 5'5". One of the most dangerous individuals I ever came across. And when they first tried hooking me up with this guy and having me, be around them, I used to round on him all the time. And like the first time he met me, he goes, "Hey, you want to take a ride to Atlantic City?" I'm like, "No, not really. I don't like gambling." Like, no. I just didn't trust this guy. I knew he was dangerous. I wouldn't fucking sit in a car with him or nothing. And it turned out he became my best friend. But yeah, he was only 5'5" and I used to ask guys straight out that had, problems. I'd say, "Listen, are you afraid?" And guys would be honest and go, "Yeah, I am. You got to help me." I go, "Well, it's good that you're afraid. Let me fix this for you, but don't fuck with this guy." Yeah, very, very dangerous. I could talk. He passed away. And he didn't get clipped. He died of Parkinson's. Figure that one out.
So do you think that Frank Sheeran really killed what's his name? What's man's name?
Hoffa?
Hoffa. Yeah. Do you think he really did that?
No, not anymore.
You don't think so now? Because I remember your old shows. Because bro, I've watched every show from beginning to end on here, and I got to go to the paid platform. I got to do it when I get paid next week. But I'm gonna definitely do it because I love your stuff, Jeff. But I'm just wondering why don't you think that now?
Mainly because of the DNA they did there, the DNA search. I personally feel, and I've always felt, that anytime you're close to anybody anyway, that you're going to be privy to certain information. But you got to understand, Frank Sheeran was really the only guy Jimmy Hoffa trusted at the time. Do I think Sheeran was there? Absolutely. Do I think that he did it? No. I think he knows what happened.
Yeah, I think the same thing, that he was probably just part of it.
Yeah, he's probably
Jeff,
a bigger wheel.
I always wanted a chance to grill you, Jeff.
What did you say, Chris?
No, I said I agree that he was probably at least part of it. If he didn't actually pull the trigger, he was probably at least part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely.
Like you said.
I think probably Jimmy Hoffa's stepson is more complicit than anybody.
Could be.
But you know what? Who knows? We could all be wrong. Do you guys mind if I address something, because this is just completely? I have never contacted Gene Borello's parole officer. You've got me confused with another content creator.
Oh God.
So let me say
Jeff,
one thing. Yeah.
I don't think that was for you.
Well, I know, but he may be getting confused with something else, and that's why I want to address it.
No, I hear you.
While Joey Merlino was on trial, okay, and this is the God's honest truth. When he was on trial, J.R. Rubio, who was the informant in that case, was testifying. I went to trial because I knew Joey and some of the other guys. Now, somebody please explain to me how J.R. Rubio finds out who I am and starts levying threats. Somebody needs to turn off their background noise.
Yeah, what is that?
All right, it was WizKid. Anyway, so what happened was J.R. Rubio was testifying, whatever, and every day I would kind of write up a summation of, what happened at the trial. By the second day, I started getting threats from J.R. Rubio on Twitter, and it was him, and I know it was him because he described what I looked like, and everything that he had testified to in court that day, he was refuting in these texts. So I did the right thing. I called my buddy and said, "Hey, listen, I don't know if this is J.R. Rubio or not, but he's saying all kinds of things, sort of negating and perjuring what he testified to." And my friend said, "Can you do me a favor? And can you submit this to Joey's lawyers?" Well, of course I'm going to, because you've got an informant who's perjuring himself, and it's up to the lawyers to decide what they're going to do. So I give it to the lawyers. They decide they're going to do nothing. Now, what happens fast forward 2 years down the line is Rubio ends up going on a podcast and ends up basically saying he framed all of these people and et cetera, et cetera. So the government starts looking into all of his activities. And what do they come across on Twitter? But they come across these messages that I posted from him just saying, see, this is basically what informants do. Now, what happened as a result of that is this: the Las Vegas Parole and Probation Department gets a hold of me. All right. And they say, we have copies of screenshots. Do you care to explain this? And basically my explanation in an email to them was, well, this is during the Merlino trial. So I don't know what you're looking for. And then what they said to me was, well, we are going to use these and we need to forward these to a judge. But what we need you to do is write a summation of how these tweets even came about. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not ratting anybody. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm trying to help my friend who got convicted on bullshit.
I mean, you're just helping your friend. You're not saying shit to try to get someone put in jail.
No.
You're saying stuff to keep someone out of jail from lives of another person.
Right. And so the protocol at that point was, right after that happened, before I even answered any email, I contacted the lawyer. He says, no, you're going to help your friend do the right thing, but make sure you call your other friends and make sure that's okay with them. I call them. They says, no, absolutely. Absolutely try to help the guy. But if they want you to go to court and testify, you absolutely cannot do that. And I wouldn't do that anyway. And so basically what ended up happening as a result was they made my synopsis public information. Okay. And at the hearing, you can actually call and listen in on the phone if you're a journalist. So a friend of mine was a journalist, gave me the numbers, and I listened in, and the judge brought up the stuff that was said about me, and nobody gave a shit. The judge didn't care. He's just like, this was 2 years ago. If I had known about this stuff when it was going on in the trial, we would have had a big problem. But because that was made public, people want to tend to go, oh, he ratted out Rubio. How? I didn't say he committed a crime. I didn't testify. I didn't all I did was try to help my friend out of a fucking jam. That's it.
Yeah, that's not ratting. I don't consider that ratting.
No. And that's what these people do. They see that. And the thing is, they only fuck with me. Do you know there was 25 other people that the Las Vegas Parole Department pulled into that? I wasn't, but I'm the only one they fuck with. Yet I'm defending my friend who's alleged to be a boss of Cosa Nostra, and yet I'm doing a horrible man. Whatever. I would help any of my friends that way.
Yeah. The feds are as underhanded as could be. I wish you would do a story on Linda Vecchio. I really do.
Believe it or not, the truth is,
I could introduce you to somebody. I'm sorry.
I was going to tell you the interesting thing is, I was on YouTube for a long time, and then I took a 2-year hiatus where I got off, YouTube, and then I came back. But there was 4 or 5 where I tore Linda Vecchio a new asshole.
Really? Okay, yeah. I didn't know
and
that.
I wish I still had those shows up, but they're not. They're gone. So, but he's another one. We're going to win this thing.
Hey, I don't know, Jeff. I don't know if you ever met him, but I could get you introduced to Joe Simone.
Really?
Yeah. I knew Joe personally, and
wow.
I talked to Angel Gotti about this on her show.
Yeah.
To get ahead of the questions, I did not know him from. He was the organized crime division. I did not know him by him arresting me. I didn't even know him when he was on the job.
Yeah.
I met Joe in Oakwood, Staten Island. Yeah. And then, started talking to him, and, you know how it goes. Oh, weren't you with these guys? And I'm like, really? Who are you? And then he broke it down, told me who he was. And ironically, we became buddies. And it was, what a sad story. What a sad fucking story, man. Disgusting what he did to that guy. Yeah. And then, naturally, Staten Island, Jimmy and Frankie, which Frankie, from what I understand, DeVecchio had nothing to do with Frankie getting clipped. But he was definitely in that mix with what were those scumbags? Caracappa and
Ippolito. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm really surprised. It's funny you bring that up, because I'm really surprised that, Stephen Caracappa seemed to be the smarter of the two. And I don't know if you can really say that, but I'm surprised because they moved to Las Vegas and bought 2 houses right next to each other. At what point do you think that Caracappa one night says, I'm going to go kill this fat fuck? for even going on Jolly Jesse Raphael. You know?
Right after the show.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Hey, I got a few questions, Jeff.
Sure.
Because I do disagree. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I can't believe I'm saying this publicly. The Mikey Scars thing, and it's not because I knew Mikey. It's just because, I see it as different, and some people have criticized me for it, and I'm okay with that.
Well, listen, everybody's entitled to have their opinion. Just because we may not agree doesn't mean you're not a nice guy or nothing. We just have differences in opinion. That's all.
No, it's not so much you. It's people in this YouTube thing. With you, I'm cool. That's one of the reasons I like your show. Is I know for a fact that you've been corrected on stories and stuff you've done, and you've come back. I've watched you do it and say, "Yep, I made a mistake. Sorry about that." I admire that.
Well, a lot of people,
got another dickhead who knows everything.
Well, and that's the thing. I think you can't. First of all, I think when you don't know what you're talking about and you do, and somebody calls you out, that's very embarrassing. And I get it, but I would rather be right about. But I've had a decade of getting shit wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but as a man, I could just respect that so much more than somebody that's going to tell me they know more about the life. I grew up in and around it, you asshole.
Right.
No, you don't know more because you read Wikipedia. And the Bio channel tells you lies. Pete Chiodo got killed in Brooklyn while he was fixing a flat tire. Yeah, that's a lie. He got killed on Fingerboard and Bay Street.
Yeah.
That was where he got clipped. I'm sorry, he didn't get clipped. He got hit.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of people, the biggest issue is they didn't grow up around that, so they don't understand the politics of that. And a good example would be, for those that may be confused, is sometimes a guy gets killed for 25 different reasons. Sometimes it's as simple as, I just don't fucking like you. There's always something to it. And people always want to have this conspiracy, but sometimes it's just a matter of the guy disrespected a guy's cousin in a bar one night. Just
one thing I would like to set straight, that Sammy Schmiegel there, Gravano.
Yeah.
Well, the Joe Francolino story, that always offended me because I knew Joe, I knew his kids, and Joe is a great guy, funny as hell. But, he's the one I could say, he passed away. But, he wound up hiding Sammy out while he was on the lam. And that's how Sammy repaid him, was by ratting on him. Number one. Number two, Sammy recycled all his stories, and we all know he's a chronic bullshit artist, right? But the one thing, he just did, I couldn't believe it, because he was the underboss. We know that.
Correct.
Right? He was legitimate. We know that.
Right.
And he fucked up Gussie's story so bad, saying that they were out to get Joe Boy because Joe Boy was hanging out with them. The true story, and I'm not speaking out of school, I'm not going to get anybody hemmed up for this because everybody's dead. The true story was that when Tuzio fired the shots, he wound up hitting Joe Boy by mistake. That's why Tuzio got clipped. So when he's up there telling a story that they were out looking for, the bullshit. It's total lies. Number one. Number two, I always wanted to ask you, what do you think about the Gus? Well, we always called him Gus for race, but everybody wants to Italianify things. So his name is really Faraci. Yeah, his name is really Faraci, but we always said Farace or Gussie the Shock. That's something you don't see in the media, but we used to call him the Shock because of his teeth. But what do you think of that story? No, it's true.
That's fucking epic.
Was Gus Farice? Was he the guy who was like a bodybuilder, muscular guy, and then he was yes. Someone hit him out. Supposedly he was fucking around with some girl, did some things he shouldn't have, or something like that. Or that's the story.
Not quite. A lot of that story is false. It was Scarpa that was actually involved. They blamed Jerry Chili, but it was actually Greg. Greg was the one that was giving up all the tips. And they wind up putting it that Jerry Chili was the one that was hiding them out, and Jerry turned on him. That's not true. That was the infamous fucking Greg the Weirdo Scarpa. He was a fucking scum since I was a kid.
It's
Greg
easy
was.
to
I'll be
tell
honest with you, Greg.
stories. It's easy to tell stories about people that are dead because they can't come back to challenge your story to say, well, no, it didn't happen this way. That's a lie. It's like,
Well, they do it. They do it to people that are alive. Look at what John does. Look at what Panisi does. Every story he's told is bullshit, and people don't have. And you don't have to be. You don't have to know these guys like I do. You don't have to. You just have to have common sense and sit back and say, wait a minute. They're going to try to kill this guy over a broad that he is stating is a floozy. So the guy's married. He has a family. He's going to jeopardize his life and freedom for a pass-around chick, which she defended herself. She had opportunity. We don't even know if that's true. If any story you go along with this guy, he's full of shit. He's talking about Spanky. He never, ever opened his mouth to Spanky. I can guarantee that. Spanky would have knocked his teeth out. He talks about he was talking to Anthony. He did another video. He berated Anthony. Take my word for it, never happened. He said he had a problem with Little Anthony. I'll tell you why they call him Little Anthony. Little Anthony is about 5'5", and he's built like a fire plug. Tough as nails. Anthony would not have sat there and let this guy talk to him that way. So that's a lie. And then why does he do things like he did that story on Big John's son? What was the purpose of doing a story about the kid passing away?
Right.
Why? Why did he bring up Joey Amato? Joey had nothing to do with it. Why did he bring up the Apetisanos? And this is a funny thing for me. You say, how could this one guy possibly know all these people? I still can't answer you on that. But
I can answer it for you. The FBI gives him a narrative.
Yeah.
The FBI will give him a narrative and a plot point. Like when he told the story of him and Perna meeting with Joey Merlino and X, Y, and Z. Like I know for a fact that never happened because some people told me who may or may not have been blamed for some of this shit said we never heard of this guy's name until after he fucking turned bad. That ought to tell you how popular he was.
Yeah.
Just a lot of these guys, they just want to enhance and then he becomes like some philosophical fucking douchebag who knows now everything. Like when Mikey Stars talks about his family lineage, that's interesting shit to me because he comes from a long line of serious individuals.
That is true.
Not so much.
But I'll tell you, because somebody up here where I'm at now asked me, they said, did anything John Panisi said about your friends there? Because one of them actually came up to visit me. So it's a weird thing. My neighbor up here got to meet him. And we were hanging out at a Stewart's. Stewart's is the big stores up here. And so I start laughing. So I tell my friend, I said, hey, he likes all this YouTube stuff. And so he just started smirking. He's got a great sense of humor. I said, tell him your last name. So he told him, and the guy looks at me like, okay, I guess I'm the victim of a joke. And I was like, no. And this guy up here was like dumbfounded. So I was like, how do you feel? You just met one of them. And it totally, like, it showed me, he was like, yeah, but that's not what this guy was saying. He shows that picture of Petey sitting on a staircase, right?
Right.
Well, number one, that's Petey's house in Malva, right? Number one. Number two, and I don't blame people for not knowing this, that photograph he put it across like, their buddies, and he took a picture of them. That picture came out of a local newspaper in Queens when Petey was given an award for the community. That was the picture, the exact picture. And you could fact check me on that.
No. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. Then he talks about his brother Joe, El Baco. By the way, I got to give him props, man. You want to talk about food? El Baco. Oh, my God. Plus, I ate there for free, so it was extra good.
Yeah, so there's the benefit of that.
Yeah, no. But it really was
the
good.
Best.
So this guy up here asked me, he said, is there anything he said was true about them? I said, the only thing he said that was true was the bartender was the kid in The Godfather. Grandpa, that was him. I said, that's the only true part that he told. That's true. because they were telling me that story one night, and I was like, "Get out of here!" And then he broke out, pictures of him growing up and pictures of him on the set, and I was like, "Holy shit! Okay, interesting. Can I have a drink?"
Yeah, you sound like me.
Yeah, good, nice guy, friendly guy. But yeah, the Apetisanos. The truth of the matter is, there is. Give me a second. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 brothers and 1 sister. And what a great family. Nothing of what he said was true. Petey was a hustler since he was a kid. He also left out the fact that Petey remodels apartments in Manhattan, like high-end condos.
Yeah.
And the concrete, Petey was smart, on time. If you're familiar with College Point at all, I don't know if you are.
Oh, you know what? I wish I could tell you why and how. I used to, my ex used to live out there. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that area.
Okay, so On Time is right in between Tully's Asphalt, right? And Empire
okay, I know
Concrete.
Exactly. Yep, I know exactly where you're at. Yep.
So Empire was a 282 shop, like us.
Right.
They were Teamsters.
Right.
Petey stayed non-union, and what he did was he saw a market. All his trucks would do like all flat work, like sidewalks. He would do foundations if you asked for it. But his main thing was doing all these small hit and run jobs. And that's how Petey made his money.
Right.
But he makes it out. They're gangsters, they're this. I can honestly say, and I'm not defending them, I'm just telling it like it is. They're honest people. They're great people. He needed to leave them the fuck alone. I guess he ran out of material. And then he was another one. That's Gussie story. He never met Gus. He never met him. So how do you
think about all the guys. Think about all the guys who are active and nobody would ever know. You know, and a lot of that's because, and I can't speak for like a bunch of people, but I know a lot of people that have so many legitimate businesses, you would be very hard pressed to ever think they were doing anything else unless you knew them personally. And I think there's a lot of people. Hey guys, I'm not cutting you out or throwing you off, but I have to do this segment because I know a lot of people are here.
All right.
So I'm just you don't go nowhere. You ain't gonna run, Chris, or agnostic. You ain't gotta go nowhere because what I'm gonna do is play a quick video and then I'm gonna read my first question and we'll go from there. So just give me 1 second.
Jeff, before you go, I'm gonna stay. But could you put the comments up so I can see them or no?
Yeah, what comment do you want to see? Nobody's really saying shit.
Yeah, when you're reading them, just put them on.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Definitely.
I just got one. Donald, I think. Donald Pittman. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second.
Go ahead. You got it.
All right. All right, so here's the deal, and this is how the contest is going to work for everybody in the chat room. Basically, I'm going to ask a series of questions. The first one to get it right is going to have to type it in the chat. And and I know it kind of sucks, guys, because the chat only moves but so fast. So, Chris, are you looking at the chat at all, Chris?
No, I don't get the chat. It just says private chat.
Oh, Christ, lucky for you. I would love to not have to deal with the chat. So basically what I'm going to do is Fishtown, what's up? I'm going to basically put the first question on the screen. And the first one to get it right. Okay. The first one to get it right. I'm going to say you're the winner. And then what you're going to do is you're going to email me at mob talk. Goddamn. Let me just write this fucking down because people will not. Hold on. Oh, this is what happens when you're not prepared. All right. This is the email, mobtalkradioshow@gmail.com. If I say you're a winner, I want you to send me an email, and in the email say, hey, I'm a fucking winner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to you, and I'm going to send you a link to our merch store. Anything you see that you want in any size you can have. It costs me money to do it, but I want to give back to all of you. So with all of that being said, let me figure out where the hell. Okay. Now, this is and for people on my panel, don't you dare answer these questions.
I won't say anything.
All right. Nope. So you have to get them all right to win. So this first one is a 3-part question. You have to get all 3 right in order to win. You can't get 1 right and 2 fucking wrong. So here we go. What is Joey Merlino's nickname? Whose nickname is Skeevy Scissorhands? I almost said Skizzers. And whose nickname is Skids? So I'll wait for everybody to hit Google, because you know what that's what they're fucking doing, right? Like, who the fuck is Skeevy Scissorhands?
I'm so tired, Jeff. I didn't even think of that.
Oh God, where did I put my I got so many notes here. Okay. All right.
I couldn't play this game anyway.
I don't know what the fuck I just did. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, that answer is wrong. Nobody's going to get this one. They're all going to say I'm a liar, but this is going to take some ingenious shit. All right. Skinny Joey is not his nickname. Should I move on to another question?
No.
Okay.
No.
We might be sitting here till 3 a.m. waiting for these pricks to figure it out.
No, you got me now. Now I want to know.
Well, oh wow. Now that's interesting. That's what I call him, but that's not what his nickname is. I call him Dracula, but no, that's not his nickname. And if nobody gets this, then there just won't be a winner for this question. So I'll give it another minute or so, and then I will answer the question. And when I tell you what his nickname is, everybody's going to be like, what? Because you would have to know somebody to know it. You know what I mean?
Always
going once, going twice. We have 74 people in here, and I could see, 74 sets of hands furiously on Google trying to figure it out. All right, I'm gonna give it another second.
Wow, I should have left New York once in a while. I don't know any of the answers.
Okay, you know what, cigar guy, and you know who I'm talking about. You're a cheating fuck. And I'm not gonna say who cigar guy is, but cigar guy, you're a cheating fuck. But if you want to win, I'll let you win. But you got to get the other 2. See, hey Chris, remember before the show when I told you I was going to ask this question, and I told you if anybody figured it out, they would be reputable.
There's a reason you asked it. There's a reason you asked it.
Yeah, it's a trick question because only people in the know would know this.
Yeah.
This is more fun than figuring out if Jimmy Calandra could actually speak English.
Dwimmy. Okay, here's what we're going to do. All right, we have a winner. I'm going to be a nice guy. Boardwalk guy, you won. Instead of making them get all 3, because they're never going to get Skeevy in the other one. It's just too obscure. All right, so Boardwalk guy, you won. Email me or call me because you know who you are. You can call me or just send me a text message, whatever. You won. Joey Merlino's nickname is Lucifer. That is his nickname, not Skinny Joey. The answer to the other 2, Skeevy, Skids is Frank Caruso. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. For some reason, you know what I did wrong? I totally fucking put the wrong question. There was something else. All right, so we got one winner for that. I fucked that all up. Sorry. I meant to put horse face, not Skeevy Scissorhands. Oh my God. All right, here's an easy one. Let me find out where I put it. There's an easy one. All right, let me write it in because apparently I deleted it. All right, so
another easy one, huh?
No, this one will be easy. Okay.
Joey roast pork, one guy.
Who is in Castellano's 4th grade class? In the class photo, The third over from the left.
Okay. This should be easy. Are you guys ready? First one to answer this question right gets a prize. But here we go. Sotto capo is Italian for what position? Come on, this is an easy one.
Second down.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
go ahead. Give him the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not being a dick.
Let's see how many of them actually heard you. All right. Bingo. Wait. Here we go. Calogero, send an email to mobtalkradioshow@gmail.com. You can get whatever you want in any size. So Calogero, send, and by the way, if you're not willing to give me your name and address, you can give me a bullshit name. Just give me a good fucking address. Oh, geez. I knew I'd fool them with the Sotto Capo thing. All right. So this one is this is another one. And you know what? I'm going to be real nice because we only technically have 2 winners right now. So I want to give away at least $200, $300 worth of shit. All right. So.
All right, hold on. I got to put my gag in.
All right. So this is a 3-part question. And I think some of you are going to get this wrong, but maybe not. Maybe you'll surprise me. Boom. Who came up with the idea for Murder Incorporated? And who were the 2 men that ran Moiter? It's a Moiter. Who are the 2 men that ran Murder Incorporated? In what year did Murder Incorporated begin?
Oh, another easy one, huh?
It shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, I think the first part of that, they'll probably get wrong because I think they're all going to say one guy and they're going to get that wrong. But there were 2 people who specifically ran Murder Incorporated. What year did it start? They're all hitting Google, you know. Wow. Look at them all going nuts. Nope.
No.
Oh. Try Whiz Kid, you're very close. Try again. Oh, look at them all. Oh, no. Okay.
He almost got it.
So some people have gotten the first part right, but some people have not. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. We're very close. A lot of you are very, very close. I'm about to throw my phone against the wall. Okay, you guys are very, very close. One of you is so close to the money, it's not even funny, but you just got the year wrong. Do. They're getting close. All right, let's see. Oh, Eric, you were very close. Uh-oh. Oh, somebody just missed it by a name.
Oh, my God.
Okay. All right, so I'll give you the first part. Meyer Lansky was the one who came up with the idea for Murder Incorporated. Okay, that's number 1. But after Murder Incorporated was started, there were 2 people that were picked to run it. One ran it for the Italians, one ran it for the Jewish guys. I'm seeing like all the right answers, just in different. Oh, nope, not 1940, Whiz Kid. Try again. Oh, close, Mafia. Man Cave. Nope, Colodro, not Luciano. Boardwalk guy, I'm going to crack your fucking legs. All right, so we know that Meyer Lansky sort of came up with the idea. Boardwalk guy's going to win again. He knows he's just fucking around now. What year was Murder Incorporated started? Oh. Uh-oh. Look at Buck Marsh getting close. This is worse than fucking school. Chris, do you know what it is? Do you know what the answer is?
Well, you want me to say it?
No, I don't. I was just asking.
Oh,
if you know.
I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. I definitely got 2 parts of it, right?
Well, so you knowing you see where they're missing shit, right?
Yeah, they're all around it. They're surrounding it. Everybody's close, but they're not putting all 3 together.
That's pretty good. I only got one.
Hold on, let me see something.
Let me know if you see the answer, Chris, just to make sure I don't miss somebody.
Mafia Man Cave was close. But...
He was very close. And Boardwalk guy's fucking around. He knows what the answer is. He's just fucking with me. Uh-oh. Easy champion. You've got 2 answers right, but not necessarily in the right particular order. You guys are just missing it. Cheat off each other. Look on each other's papers, for Christ's sakes. All right, Scandalous. What year? See, now I'm going to throw everybody off, and they're all going to copy Scandalous.
Does Scandalous have anything right or no?
He's close. Boardwalk guy, I'm going to break your legs. He's just fucking around. And he's laughing because I know he's sitting out back of his palatial estate smoking his. Thank you. Nope. Missed one. Shit. Sorry. Spoke too soon. Okay, you guys don't have to put Lansky anymore. We know that Lansky invented it. Move to the next 2 and the year. Next 2 and the year. Okay.
What about Joey Piccolino? Is he?
Where is that?
Hey, Chris, could you read them to me?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, wait, you're right.
There you go.
Oh, now I see. Okay,
you're right. Thank you for seeing that, because I was about to scream at Scandalous. All right, Scandalous, You were so close. You were so close. So I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Scandalous, email us at mobtalkradioshow@gmail.com. Joey Piccolino, email us at mobtalkradio@shitshow.com.
Agnostic, you see in the top right where it says private chat or comments?
No.
All of you were so close.
Well, I'm on a laptop. On the right-hand side, it says private chat, and then it says comments. I clicked on comments, and that's how I got everything to pop up.
Oh, you just taught me something.
I did.
So, the reason... So I can just teach a little bit here. The reason why they wanted Murder Inc. is they wanted to be able to subcontract out murder. Okay. It was Meyer Lansky's idea, but Luciano felt that they should have representatives from the Italian side and the Jewish side. That way there was no sort of kind of bickering about, well, you're only doing this because he's Jewish kind of bullshit. So Buckhalter and Anastasia, invented by Lansky in 1929. And as far as I'm concerned, the greatest hitter that ever lived in the organized crime history. Oh, God, I had to make that a question. People would probably get that wrong, though. Chris, who do you think would be my, favorite organized Murder Inc. hitter ever?
Oh, I know. Charles the Bug Workman.
Yes. See, you would have won.
Yeah.
Charlie the Bug Workman, hands down.
Who are all the Italian? I know all the Jewish names. Who were all the Italian guys on that side?
Neil Delacroce. There was a bunch of them. A bunch of them.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
Can you imagine Neil Delacroce in his 20s? Holy shit.
You know what I was thinking of when we're talking the other, 2 hours back? The your friend that scared the shit out of Elio and called you while we're eating dinner or texting you.
Oh, Uncle Fester, yeah.
Imagine if he was like came up under Nicky Scarfo and was Scarfo's main man. Can you imagine those two together?
Yeah. But you know what, though? I'm trying to be very careful what I say here. Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain people. Well, let's just be honest. I think there were certain guys in New York that could never survive Philadelphia, just like I think there's guys in Philadelphia that could never survive New York. They're two different beasts completely.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say about Philadelphia, and it's not knocking them. I'm just being very honest. Picture 75 guys fighting over 5 rackets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean that's very competitive, but there's a subject to that rule, because I think we've seen in Philadelphia's history, without going into like details, there are some guys that are very like in New York. Okay. For instance, you take the 5 families, probably the top 6 guys in every organized crime family in New York makes the most money. Okay. But then they have 20, 30 guys underneath them. So it's more of a collective thing. Whereas in Philadelphia, your numbers aren't as big. So the bulk of the organizational sort of money that comes in is really from a very small percentage. And when you lose the unions and stuff like that, like New York has unions and everything. I mean, New York's just bigger. That's why when people try to compare and contrast, I kind of say you can't really do that. Who's making homemade rolling cigarettes?
Me.
Somebody. Are you? Hey, agnostic. Are you making cigarettes?
You're good. I just rolled one.
Yeah, you know why? Because I know that you were packing the tobacco in the slot and then pushing it forward. Was I right?
And then tapping.
Yep.
You got it.
Been there, done that, my friend.
I'm tapping them right now.
Oh my God.
I used to use pipe tobacco. Wow.
I got this high grade cigarette tobacco, tastes just like Marlboros.
With that, well, you know what? I'm not going to say that because I'll indict myself.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
I'll indict myself, but let's just say that where there's a will, there's a way.
God. I can't believe this fucking
I used to smoke for a lot cheaper.
I get bootleg. They're like $10.
Yep.
The stamp's from a different state other than New York, but you know how that goes. Bodegas are very friendly.
But you got to be careful, Jeff. You got to be careful in New York. If you hit like the African stores, some of the Arabs, you'll get the bogus cigarettes from China. I don't know if you ever experienced that one.
No, all of mine are stamped from Virginia and North Carolina.
Yep. Yeah.
No. Oh. Does anybody in the chat have any questions? Does anyone want to come in and scream and make threats? Because you know me, that's my favorite thing when they do that.
God.
I'm here for the threats. I know.
Yes, Colodro, you are definitely going out a winner. A winner. You know it'll be tomorrow. If they're not doing it already, tomorrow it'll be he was just doing nothing but talking shit about everybody, like the prick that came in here was like, talk about the mafia. What do you think I did for 40 fucking minutes before I started? You know,
I hate when you boot these guys. That drives me nuts, Jeff. You got to leave them on. It's fun watching you abuse them.
Yeah, I know, but then I become like the other jerk offs, and I spent a decade doing that before. Believe me, I'm tame. I'm tame compared to what I used to be. And what I do on my paid podcast is a lot more verbally toxic than what I do here. You know, but I thought it was into that. Listen, if you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll send you a free show. And if you don't like it, then you're not wasting nothing, you know? Listen, if you realized
do that if I can email. Yeah, I've done it before.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised the amount of street people that don't pay for my show. They just love it. So I just, you know, it is what it is. Just stopping by before work. Appreciate you. You know what I thought was strange? Yeah.
Did you ever think of doing a story? The Mikey Devine hit on Staten Island. Supposedly Ali Persico did it. or
yeah,
or
I
Gus?
I technically here's a little secret about me. If I don't touch something, it's because I know people that are related to people, and I always try to. If it's too close to home, I just kind of avoid it and just stay away from it, just because I'm never gonna. Even if I take a certain like middle ground, I'm still gonna upset the apple cart.
No, I got you.
Oh man,
Yeah, because
It would
that
it would
story
be
is
so
not
much
correct.
easier if I didn't have to do that. But
Yeah, no, I got you, but that story is not correct. The Gussie story, I would love to hear an honest show on that one. You know.
let's do more trivia. It doesn't have to be for prizes. Okay, so he wants to do mob trivia.
Oh,
Chris, you got a question you want to ask anybody for mob trivia? You know what? Let's find out how well they fucking know me. You know me, Chris. Go ahead and ask him a question about me.
Oh God, question about you. Holy fuck.
And try to keep it within the bounds and not getting me pinched.
Okay, here. Okay, I got a question. Who are Jeff's favorite two Philadelphia news reporters?
Oh Christ! I think a dead guy would know that.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know specific. Like, I'm trying to think about something.
All right. So the question that Chris asked was, who are the two prick jerk off blowjob hacks that I don't like down in? Who are my favorite blowjob hacks down in South Philly?
One's name starts with the George.
Yep.
Here's a little harder one. What alleged
Oh, you got
mob
to
guy? What alleged mob guy were one of these reporters filming while he was reading the paper and eating breakfast inside his home from outside his door?
And we did get the answer: Ratweiser and Anastasia, which I call anesthesia and Ratweiser.
Yeah.
All right. So the question that Chris asked was, who was Dave Ratweiser stalking, taking a basically, well, we could phrase it two ways. He was peeking over a guy's fence while he was sunbathing. And then the same guy, he stuck a fucking camera through the guy's door hole and could see him watching newspaper in his underwears.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
What reporter does that? My God, the guy's sunning himself on his back deck. What the fuck are you peeking over the fence for with a camera, Matty the horse?
Why the fuck do I want to see that?
Well, right. That's kind of my whole point. That's why I can't stand those guys.
Yeah.
What alleged Philly guy ran a lottery? So what alleged Philly guy ran a lottery stand near the Chickie and Pete's parking lot in South Philly in Packard Park?
Oh, that got me in a lot of trouble.
No, then forget the question.
No. You won't get me in trouble. That particular incident got me in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Because at the time I was living in Packard Park.
Oh, really?
My brother was having some problems, and he's like, you need to find a fucking job, whatever. So I went down, and guess where I was hanging out?
Oh God!
And guess where he found me?
Yeah.
And guess how quick he told me to beat it?
Oh boy.
Yeah. And the answer was fucking Joe Lagambi.
For the first question, yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
All right, I got a Jeff question.
Oh, geez.
But everybody in the chat will know this one's a trick. What part of Philadelphia did Jeff grow up in?
That'll be funny.
Watch. I want to see if anybody gives answers.
Oh, they will.
Let's see.
I got another question, but I'll wait until.
Uh-oh. Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep, that's funny. Everybody.
All right, here's my question. What is Jeff's favorite steakhouse?
South Philly.
Steakhouse.
Yeah, Agnostic won't know this one, but he'll laugh when he hears it.
Oh God.
Well, mine was the old Homestead. What, Peter Luger's?
You got it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Really?
I hate Peter. You know why? Because when you just walk in there, you can't order a steak anyway. You gotta, because of everything they do is. I was like, give me a steak that's medium. We can't do that.
How about your choice of vegetable?
How don't they cook it medium? I mean, that's the most common way people order it. Like,
yeah, if it was medium well, I would get them being like, no. But they'll give me a fucking 6-pound slice of bacon that'll kill me before I leave the fucking joint.
So how do they, if it's not medium, how do they cook it?
They age the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah,
it's like it was like medium. It was like rare, almost medium rare.
How did you like Bobby Vance or Old Homestead?
Oh, perfect. Loved it.
Yeah.
Love it. The best, believe it or not, though, people get mad at me, but Ruth Chris. Like, I love Ruth Chris.
Never had it.
I don't know why, but I just like it.
Never had it.
Very, very, very good. And I think it's just how you cook it, too. I hated the saloon in Philly. God damn, I hate that place. I don't like that place either. Like, everybody says, oh, the saloon's got the best steak. I go there. I'm like, but that's the other thing about Philadelphia is that the food is bland. I don't get it. Like, they don't put nothing on no food there. No salt, no pepper, no, like, you get a cheesesteak.
Not Nick's roast beef, man.
You got to dump salt and pepper and hot sauce all over that shit. Like the lawyer friend used to complain. He'd get the fucking Phillips steaks. What the fuck is this? You can't even taste the fucking shit.
Oh my God. I mean,
here we go.
Phillips steaks is going to Phillips steaks is 50% of what's going to contribute to my heart attack in about 10 years.
I ought to accumulate fans with this one, but we went to AC and somebody came up with the bright idea. Let's go into Philly and have a real Philly cheesesteak. And we went to I think it was Gino's first, the one on the triangle.
Yeah.
And then an hour later we had Gino's
Pat's.
and they both sucked. They both sucked. So I don't mean to offend anybody, but they sucked.
No, Gino's and Pat's. Like, I like Gino's better than Pat's, but the thing is like you only eat that shit when you're shit-faced drunk, and you just got to put something in your system because it's very bland. But then again, I mean, it's bland.
I like it. I like Oregon steaks as better as well as any of them.
Yeah.
Oh, there's places in New York that make a cheesesteak that'll make you want to kill somebody for it.
Look at Easy Champion giving away my swag.
Chad, whoever gets ready, give him a t-shirt.
I've been seeing some people saying some stuff in the chat. I didn't highlight it, but it was like, I obviously know people like this comment, drop a penny and watch me jump. Like a lot of people might think
Gooey Louie and Moya Mensing.
Moya Mensing, yeah.
They said I didn't know that. This person in the chat mentioned it. Mafia Man Cave.
Look at this. Rocky isn't real. Jeff should get a kick out of that. Yep. My father screamed Rocky isn't real. That's right.
I know we're in the middle of this thing. I just seen the biggest comeback in NFL, one of the biggest comebacks of playoff history. The Chargers were up by about 24 fucking points going into halftime, and the Jaguars came back and just won 31-30. Unbelievable.
How much do you have anything on it?
Oh, what the fuck do you think, man? I mean, Jesus Christ. I hedged because I do this when the Jags were losing real big. I could bet like $5 to 50. So I kept doing that, and thank God I did. Where do you think I'll spend my money tonight, Jeff?
All right, Chris, let's see how well. All right, go ahead, agnostic.
Cigarette ashes.
Yeah. that and salt. Those were the two. Cigarette ashes and salt.
I was laughing my head off.
He would make these fucking cheese eggs, and they'd come with all that. I said, Pop us with the pepper. And my buddy would go, Jeff, that's not pepper. And I'd go, Pop. And he'd go, just eat the fucking eggs.
Wow.
Oh. Hey, Jeff, how about Joey Valero? Did you ever think of doing one on him or no?
That's on my list. I have like a short list of things I want to talk about. Absolutely.
Really? You definitely got to touch base with me on that one.
No, 100%.
That started before it started. If you could, you could understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was around when he got pinched for the reason that he became a rat and started wearing a wire to begin with.
Oh, wow.
And then I told 3 guys, here we go, small world. TG's place, Hips, not the body shop, right? But right next to it, the lunch joint. I walked in and there was 4 of them sitting at a table, and Joe V was sitting in the corner. And I shook everybody's hand but his. And somebody didn't know, so they wind up saying something like, "Hey, you forgot him." And I said, "Who, that fucking rat?" And I just got the eyes. I left. 2 days later, 2 of those guys came to me and, nicely. They said, "Come on, man, you can't do that to the guy. We're earning with them. You can't embarrass him like that. We know you don't like him." Because I tried killing him years ago, him and his buddy Dario. And so I didn't know, where exactly it was coming from, but they were earning. Long story short, 6 months later, the 2 guys, and I do like them, the 2 guys that came and spoke to me were the first ones in handcuffs.
Yeah.
What a scum.
16-inch TV with a shattered screen.
Drive away. Jeff, Nick. Oh, you're giving away a flat screen. Nice.
Yeah, apparently I'm giving away my left kidney too. It was amazing. I think last year we gave away $4,800 worth of shit, right? And like it was great because like I love giving back to people because this is how I make my living and what have you. And I got a couple other businesses, but it's funny because sometimes I'll do these things and like people will win and they just never contact me. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now?
Well, they don't collect it.
No, I mean, I try to give away as much shit as possible. And I always tell people all the time, like, none of these other people give away anything. Like,
No.
they're taking the money, but what are they doing with it? Like, I'll give shit away all day. I'm very grateful that I can make some money. I think Angel Gotti is very upset with me.
Oh, well, it happens. She gave me the boot.
Really?
Yeah, or something?
What for?
Yeah.
I was on her show. I'm sure you know. I think you were in the chat a couple of times. And I liked Angel. We know a lot of the same people, Angel and I.
Right.
And so I was talking to her just, about people that we know, exchanging stories and stuff. I thought everything was cool. And she was talking about all the bullshit and the drama she got dragged into. And that she wished this guy would just leave her alone. So I went on the guy's show. And I talked to him.
Yeah.
And she had somebody, instead of watching the show herself, she had somebody interpret it for her.
Oh, boy.
Right. And she came on and she said, agnostic is no longer welcome on my show. And I just said, that was it. Never looked back. I said, all right, hey, that's cool. No hard feelings. Then somebody told me that she changed her mind, but I don't know. I don't know what the truth is. So
yeah, I don't know.
I didn't do anything wrong.
No,
and
I just
said it.
Yeah, my thing is like earlier today, somebody called me to pick my brain about something, and I got to be honest with you, I kind of regret helping them, but I try to like help people to like get them to get better. And this person knew I was coming online and was like, "Oh yeah, it'll be a good show for you." And this is somebody who I know doesn't watch my show, but then I watched and this show has been set up for the last 2 days. And I watched as this person that called me is scheduled to go on her show with her at 9:30, a half an hour after I started. So it's like, you knew I was going on, but you pick my brain, ask me to like not to attack somebody, but to go after somebody, which I don't really do. And then you go right on that show because you feel like that's where all your views are going to come from. And I think that's pathetic. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. Well, I caught heat. I shouldn't have gotten involved in this YouTube drama shit, but I did. I called 2 guys out for being frauds, and people they were up in arms. I was devil incarnate, And then it turns out I was right both times. But you know what? What sucks? None of these mutts, these fucking disgraceful mutts, have the decency to go, you know what? I was in the chat bad-mouthing you. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't want nothing. Don't write me a letter. Just say one word. 2 words, actually. Say agnostic, sorry.
Right.
Done deal. everything's forgotten.
Right.
But they went on and he's doing this and he's doing that, and my answer is always the same. Did you see the video? So stop making claims.
Right.
Yeah,
that's just kind
and
of
then this other clown.
That's sort of the kind of the dirty stuff that I don't like, is when somebody calls to pick your brain, they already know they're going on somebody else's show, and then they try to like distract you by saying, oh, you should blah 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 blah, and it's just like, you know what, like,
it's slimy.
It is, and it just, she knew I was going on. I don't care what she says, and believe me, there was a time where I got 3 times the amount of like live views they did, but live is not my like strong point. But here's my thing. I don't care if it's 10 people or 50. I have a good time, and that's all I care about. I'm not here to make no money. It's not what I'm about. I'm here to just try to promote my other show. That's really it.
I don't want to sound like an asshole. You've been doing this so long, so I'm probably gonna sound like an idiot. But you do know why your numbers are so much higher and your lives are so much lower. There's one simple answer. It's not that your show sucks. It's you don't do it enough. That's all that is.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people tell me. It's I don't do it enough, or I cancel at the last minute. I always thought it was because I didn't do the drama shit.
No,
that could be part of it. I mean, and it's good that you stay away from drama, but people by nature, they'll say they don't like drama, but they're naturally attracted to it. Like drama to people's entertaining. But the thing is, with those other shows, it's the same fucking drama story every day. It's one side versus another side. This is what so-and-so said last night, and this is my response. And another person responds to what they said. Like, it's literally been their same drama bullshit for months and months and months. I mean, get a new routine already.
I don't like the hypocrisy. You know what I mean? If you're going to call,
I hate hypocrites.
And you got no proof. Don't call the guy a rapist. Say you don't like him, but don't call him a rapist, and then turn around and say, "Well, when it's us, you have to prove it before you could speak." So it's no the hypocrisy, fellas. You got to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think there's. Go ahead.
It's too much.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they don't even do mob content anymore. I mean, that's what they started off doing. They don't even do mob content. I mean, that's what I mean.
I find it a little.
Everybody likes a Jerry Springer show, but not the same one every day.
I find it. How to say this, because I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but I find it a little bit weird how people will say, I don't even like the mob content, but yet you promote like Lee Cole covering it every day. I don't get that. I just get confused by that, because I honestly, and I'll tell you the truth.
We can't even pronounce the names.
Well, no, he can't, but he does what he can. He's gotten a little better, but I from my perspective, the way I work and what I cover, like each one of these people, each one of them has called me more times than I can count to try to get me to help. And you know what? I've been nice enough to do it a bunch. I'll never do it again. But here's a funny story. I once, Jeff Nadeau tried calling me on the phone. I didn't know what he wanted, called him back. This was a year ago. And he's like, yeah, I really need some Philly stuff. So I told him a complete and utter lie, just to see if he would actually go on the show. And he repeated a complete and utter lie. That's how stupid they are, but I'm done helping all of them. Like the what I did today is the last time I'll help anybody. I'm not helping anybody no more. I'm done.
Nah, you're better off staying by yourself.
Yeah, yep. And I'm sure I'll make some enemies out of this show tonight because, God forbid, if you criticize somebody who's trying to steal your show, 12 other people have to jump on top of you. I don't like that mentality. If Jeff Nadeau wants to come on here, he can come on here and I'll have it out with him, but he's not going to win. Oops, I just dropped
Jeff,
the link.
I like that's what's happening to you, and I'll tell you why. It sucks when it's happening, right? Because nobody wants to be fielding this garbage, right? But why am I glad? Because a lot of people, who the fuck is this Jeff Canarsie guy? What's up with this Jeff Canarsie? Let me go see. Bang, you just got another viewer. You know?
Right.
That's the
Oh
way
yeah.
I see
Oh
it.
yeah. Absolutely.
No one's going to do
Absolutely.
as much research as Jeff does. You know, even people that might do a little research, no one's going to do as much research and just put
No.
so many hours into trying to get it right.
Well,
Well,
my
he's
biggest
good with putting the facts and then putting his opinion and separating the two. That's what I
Right.
like what he
Yeah.
does.
Right.
He's really
Yeah.
good at it. This
Yeah.
is the facts, and these are my opinions. You know? And I don't
Right.
see that with the other guys.
Nah, I don't even know how some of them got into it. Like Lee Cole, I don't know how this guy living in Texas or where he does, the guy who never had any connection whatsoever that I know to that life, how does he just out of the blue one day wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go make a mob show and go after rats? And then he has rats on his show. Like what is that, you know?
No, you're wrong, Chris. He has big mob connections, really big. He used to stop laughing, Jeff. This is a very serious matter. Stop, man.
It's a very
Listen.
very serious.
No,
All right, go ahead. I'm listening, agnostic.
All right, just take it serious. This is very serious. He was connected. How he got connected was, you know, when you get tripe in the pork stores. I don't know if you got them in Philly.
You get what?
Tripe is this tripe.
Oh yeah, my dad used to eat it. Fucking cows and intestines.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, thank you. Go ahead.
Lee was the runaway kid who they took in, and they used to have him clean the tripe. So that's his connection, and he's been riding on it ever since.
Holy fuck!
Yep.
Jesus.
And he was hooked up with DiBernardo too, because he used to mop up the floors at the peep shows in Times Square.
Oh, the jizz mopper.
Oh my God. Now I see. I apologize, agnostic, because now I see why it was so serious.
I know the mafia because I'm a jizz mopper.
Whatever Lee Cole does say. I'm just wondering what made him one day all of a sudden want to do this shit. You know what's funny about Nadu? I was telling Jeff this earlier, like just to show how much he doesn't know. I was watching the show he was doing on Joey Merlino. I watched the other day just to see what he would say. And you know at the bottom of the screen on the scroll, you could kind of label like time by time what you're going to talk about. So the one part where he was talking about John Stanford, he labeled it, he spelled it John Stanford, Stamford. You know, so when Joey went to war with John Stanford, I'm like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, John Stanford, the English guy.
Yeah, right.
Fucking idiot.
I mean, he said the guy's name right a few times talking about him, but I'm like, John Stanford. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Oh yeah, he calls DB Dibs. Isn't his nickname Dibs? No, it's DB, you dickhead.
Yeah, you two can. You two, if you guys work hard enough, you can become a part of
the jizz mopping mafia.
Yeah. Create a 6 family.
It's like, you know what? And this is the truth of the matter. And this is not like a disparaging thing towards anybody. But if you're going to do the genre, do the genre. No, learn it. And if you don't know a whole lot, learn. But like, if you're just going to like, people sometimes feel like they got to be a street guy or they got to be this. You don't. You could be like a normal guy that just like RJ Rogers, good example, knows what he's talking about. I'm not a fan of his, but he knows what he's talking about. Whereas Nadu one day is like an Italian, the next day he's Albanian, and like it's like nobody gives a fuck. What's your content about? You know, nobody cares if Lee Cole's dog is like shitting bricks for this week. Like nobody cares. They just want to be entertained in content. You know, that's all it is. You don't have to be any way. You ain't got to have the same kind of feelings or emotions or viewpoints that I have. That's why I give two sides to the coin. It's up to you. You're not going to hurt my feelings with your opinions.
Well, what's their favorite term? The mob genre. You never talk about the mob.
Mob
That's like Martha Stewart doing a fucking car show.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said they don't. Most of them, they don't even talk about it anymore. It's all feeding off of each other and just keeping their little Jerry Springer show going.
And then you get the wing nuts. You get Raimondi, the one that Lee had. I don't know if you ever caught when I used to troll him. What's his name? The one that the scam artist, Lee's partner, the big-headed.
Danny Trio, is that or
whatever? Yeah. I used to go into chat and I used to put names in Coney Island that you never heard of in the newspaper. Yeah. And I used to watch them twitch.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that guy. I just all I know is at one point somebody threatened me. He knows a lot of people. You better not fuck with him. And I'm like, I don't care. Like,
no, you don't.
Listen, when anybody does, when any story they want to inflate, like this is what's amazing to me. They all want to inflate their story so much. Like, oh, I got arrested in 1972 for fucking raping a pot-bellied pig in front of a cop station. Like, why would you like you got arrested? Like, that's not something to be proud of. I'm not proud that I got pinched. I'm not proud that I had to plead out. Like, I'm an idiot.
They think you give some.
I'm proud of all the times I got away.
Yeah, exactly. For all the shit. Listen, if a fucking pinch is the one I had to take where they gave me 10-year sentence, right? And because I had never been in trouble before, they start knocking everything down. If that's the pinch I got to take versus the shit they never found out about, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, right. Well, you're stand up, but I don't. I think guys like that Danny Trio saying he got arrested. I think that they think he thinks that gives him more clout to talk about what he thinks he knows in the streets. I don't know.
Well, I know X, Y, and Z, but that don't make me tough.
Right.
What made him interesting was, I like I said, you can go back and research it and see what I'm talking about. I put like Nick. I didn't use full names, but I put nicknames up that you never heard of, and you would see him like no comment. He would say, and you would watch him twitch. So he did know of people. That much I figured out. Like he told the story of Vic DiBiase knocking out John A. Light. Now that happened to be a true story.
Right.
Now where he got it from, I don't know. I know where I got it from. I was sitting in a bar in Staten Island and somebody came to me and told me the story. I wasn't there. But that was a true story.
What agnostic? What do you live? You said you're from Brooklyn or the Bronx or?
No, I'm originally from Manhattan, from the Lower East Side.
That's where I live. For anybody that wants to know.
What happened?
I said I'm in Alphabet City.
Yeah. I was on 1st and 12th. Well, you know that.
Yeah,
and then
I'm not going to say where I'm at, but I'm very close.
Staten Island.
Yep.
I don't know if you're familiar with Staten Island, but we moved from the Lower East Side to Marinus Harbor, thinking that was like an upgrade. What a fucking mistake that was.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just been to Manhattan, Little Italy, and that's pretty. I wanted to see other stuff of like other boroughs, so I went to the Little Italy in the Bronx that they say is like Arthur Ave, the real Little Italy, but it got dark. I couldn't really see much. It wasn't anything.
It's all Albanians and Puerto Ricans in the Bronx now.
Yeah, that's what I.
Well, Chris,
Mexicans.
Save your gas the next time. I can tell you what you're going to see in Little Italy. You're going to see 3 elderly Italians with Alzheimer's and a bunch of Chinamen. That's Little Italy.
Yeah, well, back in the day, Little Italy was split between the Italians and the what do you call them, the triads or the tongs, whatever the hell they call themselves.
Oh, I've seen it. Well, the Little Italy in Manhattan. In fact, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was there and I was with this girl, and this guy was like walking around, and I guess he was giving a mob tour or something. And he said, like, in the height of Little Italy at some point in the early 80s, mid 80s, there's like 36,000 Italians. And he said now it's down to only like 800, 1,000. That's it.
You know who the most famous?
It's pathetic.
You know who the most famous resident in Little Italy is?
Yep. Right now? I know who you're going to say. Joey Gallo's sister.
Yeah. Still hurls the F word out the window.
That's funny, man.
She's classy. She is classy.
Jeff, do you ever walk over to Carmine Street or no?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, Carmine is still, I mean, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. But when you come off 6th and you're walking down Carmine, you make that first right. You got the bakery there, the pork store, and then across the street you got the Jewish girls have the fish store.
Yep.
Well, I forgot that street. I can't remember it.
This place changes. Like I've been living, like I was living in Bed-Stuy for a long time. And then I moved to Manhattan, and just in the last 5 years since I lived in Manhattan, it's changed. It's crazy. Absolutely.
Look at what happened. Look at what happened in my neighborhood. The fucking Hells Angels sold out.
Yeah, that's just a couple of blocks down from me, where they sold the club.
I don't know. I was on one of these. I was going at it with one of these assholes. He was claiming he was a Patch member, and he's like, "How does this guy know? He grew up with wise guys. How does he know a Hell's Angel? Look at a map, you dickhead." I was around the corner. You fucking moron.
When I lived here, it was still open, and they sold it like 2 years ago or whatever for like a ton of fucking money.
$8 million.
Yeah, and then like no sooner than they move, shit starts up where their new club opens.
Yeah. Yep.
Gets and then all shot up.
Then supposedly the Pagan got clipped.
Yep, I remember that. That was a great hit.
Well, the tattoo on my forearm, on my inner forearm,
right,
that was done by Frank's girlfriend.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, she did my whole cross. That tattoo shop was right near you. That when you walk down Houston, if you go up Sullivan,
yep,
right before you get to Bleecker, 2 doors down, there used to be a joint. I don't even know if they're there. McDougal Tattoo.
Yeah, I don't think they're there anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine not. They were a little mismanaged.
Yeah, to say the least, right?
Mm. Then on McDougal, you got, I mean, the best food right in that one little block. You got Alibaba's if you like Arab food.
Yep.
You got Alibaba's. There's a little hole in the wall. The best Arab food you could find.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi owns a pizza joint like 5 blocks from here. So that's where I get my pizza from.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What, Chris?
Said you pay an arm and a leg, too.
$40.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
That's for pizza.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. And then it gives me the shits or I get sick. So, yeah, big winner.
Where was it? Where was it? Was it on Houston with the pizzeria? Now it's going to be years ago. It's going to be 10 years ago, 11, or even longer. Where the guy went and killed the pizza guy, shot everybody up, and they wind up clipping him outside.
Oh yeah. That's just right up the block.
If you ever look at that article, right, you'll see the Daily News. You'll see a cop standing there. What the hell was that?
That was me clapping.
Oh, if you ever see the Daily News, you'll see the front page. It was a cop standing there, plainclothes with the badge around his neck, and the only car you see on that block is a yellow taxi. That was the guy I became buddies with. Ironically, you would think I wouldn't be friends with him, but he was pretty cool. And he was anti-crime in the 6th precinct. Yeah. And that was him sitting on the front page there.
What do you guys think is the best Italian restaurant in Little Italy in Manhattan, if you had to pick?
Ooh.
The Roberts.
I went to El Catorle once, a guy recommended. It was nice in the back.
El Cortile?
Yeah, I guess that's what it's called.
That's where I go.
That's where you go? It's nice in the back because they have it set up. It looks like an Italian vineyard or something like that.
Yeah, that's where all the wannabes go, and they try to get it blocked off to be private so they can make big shots.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Big shots.
I was only in Rayo's one time in my whole life, but they had good sauce and good meatballs.
Yeah, I've been there once. I had dinner with Chuck Zito and some other celebrity people that I knew through somebody else. And I wasn't impressed. I really wasn't.
You know Chuck?
No, I don't know him personally. I didn't know him beforehand at all. But somebody called me because you know how everybody's got. Yep. See, the way that it's set up is everybody's got like a little reserve seat. It's like a timeshare, And this guy calls me, says, "Hey, listen, Armando Sante and Chuck Zito are going to be there. You want to go?" Because the person that usually goes with me, I'm like, fuck yeah. And, they were nice guys and everything like that. But Chuck was a nice guy. I liked him. But I don't know. I guess I don't understand the biker culture really. But I do know that he loves Sonny Barger. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, Brendan too. Brendan, there's when they have the tribute, you'll see he's walking with the guy, and the guy has it's a full patch, but it says Virginia on the bottom rocker. He has long blonde hair. That's actually Brendan. He was the president in Manhattan for years. Yeah, he's actually a New York guy, but he moved down to Virginia. Right after I left. I think about 6 months after I left, Brendan left. Because we knew each other for years, but we wound up becoming neighbors in Great Kills.
Yeah, see, the weird thing is like, I know like a couple of people that are into the biker thing, but believe it or not, this is going to sound crazy to you, but all of the biker people I know that are like seriously hardcore criminals are out of this country, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like Canada, Europe, like some heavy people.
Yeah, look at Scandinavia. I mean, when they fight it out, they pull out fucking shoulder-fired rockets. I mean, they're out of their mind.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the people that I know are in Sweden and Finland, and they don't fuck around. In fact, they sent me a and they're an HA club, and they sent me, because they all listen to my show and stuff like that, they sent me a beautiful HA jacket. It's not a club jacket. It's just like a symbol of
support.
Right. Yep. And it support 81, stuff like that. And they're like, by the way, don't ever wear this thing in public. It sits in your closet. It doesn't go anywhere. I was like, yeah, no, not a problem. But very, very nice guys. And a couple of them actually came over from Europe, and I met with them. Great guys.
That's cool.
We were hanging out at a little thing, and I think they raffled shit off, and this dude won something out of 3rd Street. And fucking Brendan goes up and stands up and goes, "Don't let me see that on fucking eBay." This was when eBay started. Yeah, I was dying. They were a lot of good dudes.
You think El Chapo's son's gonna get deported here, or go to USA prison?
I have no comment, because I may or may not know people that may or may not be associated with anybody of that sort. And you know why I'm answering it that way too, Chris.
Oh, I wasn't trying to. Yeah, no, I understand.
Listen, no bullshit. That's a knock at my door. I won't get. That will be a walk out my front door, and I'll be in 14 different pieces.
I'll drop it. I will say though, man, that first time they tried to arrest, I've never seen a bigger display of power in my life from an organized crime group. When they tried to arrest him that first time, within one phone call, they had 700-800 sicarios surrounding the fucking city. You had 100 or so Mexican national guards that couldn't arrest one fucking guy.
When you control the country, you control the country.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's
the only ones. The only ones they fear are the Mexican Marines.
Yeah, or the U.S. military.
Well, yeah. I wonder why.
Well, yeah, I mean that's that's why again. I mean, obviously, they don't want to fucking come over here.
You know what I find to be funny, and I'm not going to mention a name here, but I'll mention one. But so people in for whatever reason, and I don't know why. I'm listened to in like God knows how many countries, but for some reason, arch criminals. We're not talking like your regular like associated people. Like I'm talking fucking arch criminals for some reason really like me, and I never know these people, and somebody will contact me like an attorney through a third party. Like I got banned in Finland, like I can't go to Finland. I'll get arrested.
Shit, man. That's funny.
I'll get arrested if I go there. And so I meet all of these fucking arch criminals, and I don't know who they are. And this one guy is like talking to me and get to know him, whatever the case may be. He says, "Hey, I'm going to send you a picture of me and my friend." He sends me a picture of him and Simeon Milosevic.
Oh God.
And I'm like, I'm like, and I recognize Milosevic immediately, and I'm like, holy fuck. And then he says to me, so if anybody gives you any shit, you just let me know. And I'm like, nope, I'm good.
You know what's funny that you say that? I remember long while back on your Q&A, I asked you, what do you think of Simeon Malo? And you just said, I don't think anything of him. Next question. All right. I have nothing to say about him. The next question. Yeah.
Wow. There you go.
Well, you know what always fascinated me? The way the Russians totally misread here. You know? Chris, I don't know if you have a Russian population where you are, but we had Brighton Beach.
No, I'm just a little regular suburb. I'm not like where it's diverse like that.
You'll always hear like from Americans about how Russians are rude. They're like barbaric, and it's really not true. It took me years to figure it out, and working there and hanging with them and doing, when I was doing the cars, I dealt with a lot of them. Mm-hmm. The Russians come from. You got to remember, they started coming into Brighton Beach during communism. And they come from such a cold environment, meaning not just temperature, but just a hard place.
Right.
That when you're in a store and you're at a vegetable bin, right, they'll lean over you and grab something and smile at you when they do it. And people think that's rude. Or if they're walking into a business, they'll let the door close. That's just because that's what they're used to.
Right.
But once you get to know them, they were actually really good people. I like the Russians.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. I've been to some places in Brighton Beach and where there were some people there who, were obviously not exactly real estate salesmen, but they were always very nice to me. Wouldn't ever let me pay for anything. Very good people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they fuck up just like the Italians. I had a guy on Staten Island. I was in a condo development, renting an apartment, and he would come out, a real friendly guy. He got a kick out of me. I think I was the one of two Americans in the whole complex, and you could tell. I mean, this guy, he had the tattoos all over. Wears slacks at 5:30 in the morning to take the garbage out. Dressed to the nines, and when his guys would come pick him up, it was comical. They would walk up to the door. And move him like they were the presidential detail, and you could just tell they would hold the door for him. He gets in the car, they close the door, then they got a follow car, and I used to sit there and laugh my ass off, like, God, could this be any more obvious?
Yeah, right. Well, I was telling Jeff the other day with like the stigma of the like Cosa Nostra and Italian and how the FBI has always just been after them nonstop. Like in the past 10 years or so, how many indictments and investigations have the FBI done on Italian or Sicilian Cosa Nostra compared to Russian organized crime, Albanian organized crime? Like, you know what I mean? It's just because, it just seems like they don't care about those guys, the other groups as much.
Well, I think there is some unfairness to my people on one hand. On the other hand, I believe I have the answer why Cosa Nostra is so fascinating, why it is such a genre. There's two things that are most talked about in this country. Gangs come and go, right? You watch like the Bio Channel, Matt Geo, you'll see, what was that show? Gangland, right? They all come and go. Bike clubs and Italian Cosa Nostra. And the reason that Cosa Nostra is so fascinating, that I think, this is my answer, is because I could sit here for the next hour and tell you how bad and how treacherous it is. I could sit there for the next hour and tell you about how much good they've done.
Right.
That's it in a nutshell.
Fascinating. Like it is a fascinating lifestyle. Christ, when I was fucking younger and I was a kid, I had an interest in it. I think I watched the same fucking John Gotti documentary 1,000 times over on these different fucking like Discovery Channel and Nat Geo. But it is a fascinating life. And then they've been going for a long time, man. Really, they had an empire.
They've been going longer than this country. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I heard one content creator say, and this is what he said. He said, statistically speaking, mob neighborhoods were no safer than any other neighborhood. I don't know where the fuck he got that from.
Where did he grow
he's
up?
never been in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know?
Crazy, man. I don't know. Well, it just shows you some of these guys don't know what they're talking about. I don't, I don't know.
I'm not from Bensonhurst, but I knew as a kid, don't go there sticking up stores. You know?
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
Yeah.
So this whole, the mob never did any good for the neighborhoods they were in, that's bullshit. That's a lie. Is it an organization that I would have joined? No. I'm not talking my family, everybody I grew up. I'm talking for me. Not my thing. You can't tell me to kill my friend.
Right.
Bottom line. That's why I would have never done it. But they did a lot of good.
Right. Does it even pay to want to get involved and become a member of that today? You know what I mean? Like, if you got something going, why risk breaking the law to make money when if you join an organization, you just got to kick that money up a percentage? You know what I mean? It's like, I guess perks.
But there is an answer to that. And number one, the money that you would be kicking up is extra money that you're making if you can follow that. So it's not like you have a bakery that's doing really well. You get straightened out. Now you got to kick up proceeds from the bakery. That's not how it works. Number one.
Right.
Number two, that's extra income. And in businesses, let's say like me, you're in cars or trucks, right? I had dump trailers. If you have a big construction company and you get straightened out, your earning potential will quadruple.
Because you get the union. Yeah.
Well, no, you got a lot. Everybody always aims for the unions, but that's a small part, and it's not even a part anymore. I'll tell you the truth. I'm a Teamster, right? 282, the one that Sammy always flaps about. They have a Fed, and this is a fact. You can research this. They have a federal agent that sits in my hall. He looks like the biggest gangster going, but he's an FBI agent.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, true story. True story. Ask anybody in the chat that knows anything about 282. Yep.
Wow.
So the corruption, little things happen, but it's just not true anymore. It's a lie. It's a slanderous bag of fucking nonsense, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely an interesting life. Definitely.
Yeah. What I find amazing is when people say, "Oh, they victimize their own community." Well, okay, that's true to a certain extent, but nobody's breaking anybody's hand to go get a loan either.
Yes.
And you borrow money, you don't pay it back. You know what the consequences are.
Right.
Well,
right. The bank Shylocks. Nobody has a problem with that.
Right.
But
exactly.
it is what it is. I just think people that have a tendency to have that sort of narrative didn't grow up in neighborhoods like that. They don't understand what it's like to go see a guy when you really have a fucking problem and they take care of it.
Yes.
It's just the way, it's sort of like, I hate to use this reference because I hate the movie A Bronx Tale, but it's like the old saying of, these are our people, but they're bad people. You know what I mean? Like, you never tell on them, and if you need something, that's where you go. But that's how I grew up. If you really had a problem, like before you could even get into a fucking fist fight, 3 guys on the corner are watching what's going on, and your parents already know by the time you get home.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's one of my many peeves. They never met anyone or even came to any of our neighborhoods, and yet they'll make claims like, saying that they were part of the community. That shit's just in the movies. How do you know what's in the movies? Well, you know it's in the movie, but how do you know it's not in the neighborhood that you never came to? So what kind of bullshit is that? Right. And, like Jimmy Calandra, he goes on the opposite end of the spectrum. Bath Beach was so dangerous. Bath Beach was one of the best neighborhoods. I got bad news for everybody that believes him. Bath Beach was one of the best neighborhoods. What he fails to tell anybody is that was New York City in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Everywhere was off the chain. There were bodies dropping everywhere. So this whole thing of it was just Bath Beach. It was this little circle. Open your eyes, dickhead. Get on a train.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, and I think that's sort of my thing when it comes to informants is like, I don't care what anybody thinks. If they want to talk to them, that's their business, because believe it or not, whether or not anybody wants to recognize it, informants to some degree were involved in the streets. Otherwise they would have nothing they could talk about. Right. But the reality is they weren't important at all. I mean, like this whole thing that I hear, and it used to piss me off all the time, is especially about Anthony Spiro, is, he's out perverting kids. Well, listen, these guys don't go out and grab kids off the street. They see kids that are capable of earning money, and they have a choice. They can go in and do it, or they don't have to. But then to turn around and blame that person for everything it's stupid to me. You made a choice to go and rob the fucking bank. That's on you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you're getting into.
No, ask Jimmy. If you ask Jimmy, the reason Jimmy got caught robbing the bank was Mikey Amini jinxed him. Okay? Let me tell you the true story. Mikey Amini is mentally handicapped.
Oh,
no, I mean mentally handicapped. I'm not being a wise ass.
Right? No, I know.
Shot. Yeah. And when we heard it, I told this story a dozen times. Somebody came and told us we were outside the bar. You could smoke back then. You smoke right in the bar. You could smoke a motor vehicle. But anyway, we were outside the bar smoking, and somebody came and told us that he got pinched for the bank. And my brother looks at him and goes, "What did he do? Write his fucking name and address on the back of the note?" And that was Jimmy. Jimmy was a fucking imbecile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he looked really stupid trying to put that picture of himself saying he was like, in prison with Tommy Karate. I mean, he completely got called out on it, where he can't even carry that lie anymore because it was just proven wrong. I mean, I got called for that picture. I got a call on the phone, and somebody was saying, "Oh, did you see this?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, you said he didn't really know Tommy, but he's showing pictures of him in prison with him. On a visit." So I said, maybe he did. I don't know. Why do you think I would know? What do I follow this kid? There's a lot of things I don't know. Right. And then when I saw it, I started cracking up, and I'm like, what are you kidding me? It's a picture. It's a visit picture in front of a cell block. They don't let you come in and tour the prison. You fucking imbecile. Right. No, that's not how it works. Yeah. Hey, while you're here, you want to come see my cell? No. No. But so then I knew it was a fraud when I saw it, but I didn't know, maybe he did visit Tommy. I didn't know. Nah. I mean, Jeff knows that wasn't true, but
no.
That's funny.
And let me tell you something, Chris. I didn't know Spiro, but somebody swears that I talked to Spiro. I met him, but I didn't know him. And, we saw Spiro when we go to the neighborhood. You knew Spiro was the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was obvious. And one of the guys, actually, he always says he was the only guy. You got to remember, all 5 of those families had people right there. So this whole story of it was a Bonanno neighborhood, he's out of his mind. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he did live there. So it shows you how stupid he is. But Spiro, when it happened, I mean, you should have seen the newspapers. We were reading the newspapers in like total disbelief. Like Spiro was worse than Hitler, And if you could research it, I can't do it, but if you could research it and get the original news articles, you got to see the picture they painted of Spiro. Holy shit.
Oh, I'm sure media could destroy people, man. Yeah. I mean, they do it in politics. They do it. They could destroy people. I mean, it's
like Mikey Scars. Mikey Scars told the truth. Spiro was the type. If you owed him money and you wanted to go on the lam, you go across the street. He wouldn't even come across to get you. You know?
Right.
He'd tell guys, all right, I'll give you a knockdown. You know, what could you do? You're supposed to pay $200 a week. Could you give me 50? That's the kind of guy he was. Was he a punk? No, not at all.
Right.
But he wasn't half as bad as that imbecile painted him out to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like it says, it was one person, dead man can't talk. Dead man, like, you know, a guy like Anthony Spiro can't come and refute his story or whatever. You know, it's and these guys could just spin whatever narrative they want. They could inflate. It's and people keep following it. But how can you continue to follow a guy that was caught just flat out lying and just ran with a complete lie so long? And if Jimmy Calandria was of anything of any consequence in that life, why does he have to show a picture of Tommy Karate? Why does he have to even fake the picture of yourself? You go off your own reputation, you know, but he's not. So it's
well. Here goes another thing that a lot of people ran with. That Paulie G, right? He got clipped for pushing Spiro, and the reason he pushed Spiro was he was demanding. First off, the whole story sounded bizarre to me. Just sounded unreal. He was demanding a button. That's not how it works. I got news for everybody. I'll tell you that as a fact. That's not how it works. He who yells the loudest gets his button. No, that's not how it works. All right? Number one, that kid Vincent Bickelman, I never knew him. To the best of my knowledge, again, somebody from my neighborhood said that I probably did, but I don't remember. I don't think I ever met Vincent Bickelman, right? He robbed Spiro's daughter. What Jimmy doesn't tell everybody is that Vincent Bickelman caught a beating for that, a really bad beating. Now that to me changed the whole story.
Yeah,
because usually and the rules get broken. I'll give you that. But usually when you catch a bad beating and you survive, that's your punishment.
Right.
So he got a really bad beating, got out of the hospital, and then Spiro told him to go clip this kid. I find that whole story to be a little fugazi.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I said, one person telling the story. It's you all you get.
Well, it's always convenient when the people you're talking about are fucking dead.
Yeah,
or in prison for the rest of their life.
It's they can make anything else. You know, Jimmy Calandria could sit there and spin this story, and you could have some kid in fucking Indiana, Arkansas, who knows, Kansas, that like, what do they know? You know what I mean? They probably just take it as gospel, but it's what do they know? Agnostic. Did you ever hear of a guy from New York? He wasn't like I don't know. He just knew some people, but his name was James Votto, Votto.
Not that I can remember. No,
it was a guy. This guy passed away a few years ago, but he was from New York, and he ended up living up here in Scranton. I was at this casino up here with him. I got to know him a little bit, and I was just wondering. He's from Brooklyn.
You don't follow Jimmy Calandria. You do understand that New York's bigger than Bath Beach, right?
Oh God, Jesus Christ! Yeah, the same fucking story. I don't know. It's a joke. It's redundant bullshit. He's redundant. It's God.
Nah, I'm just playing with you, but it's funny that it comes from me because I've been teased my whole life. Like, oh yeah, if there's somebody over there, Patty knows them. You know?
Yeah.
And that's oops, I slipped. I just doxed myself. I could care less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, I don't know. The rats just it really does. It annoys me. That's how the whole journey started with me. I came across Sammy Gravano. Of course, Diane Sawyer. We all laughed about that years ago. And then somebody told me he was on YouTube, and then I'm watching him, and then I wind up watching. I wind up fucking around because I'm semi-illiterate with this, and I came across that kid Mob Rats Exposed.
Yeah.
And then I saw John Panisi on Vlad, and I'm like, this guy looks familiar. Well, it turns out I couldn't have known John because while he was in prison, I came up here. So I would have never known John, but I thought I did. And I'm listening to the story, and I'm like, this guy's a wingnut, you know? But he was only saying first names if you watch the Vlad interview. So I didn't really know who he was talking about until he started dropping certain names. And I was like, holy fuck, that's who he's talking about. And I don't know. I just can't stomach him. And then somebody wound up telling me about Jeff, and that was it. So.
Yeah. Well, Jeff's the real deal.
No, I like Jeff.
Yeah, he won't play. Yeah, Jeff, do you remember the one on your FB questionnaires? That was one of my what I like. What are some of the best about your shows because you get creative. But do you remember the one question you asked? It was, who were the most ruthless assassins or murderers in the mob? And that was your. Do you remember my answers to that? You probably
nope. You know why? Because you got to understand one thing I don't think people get about me is that for most people, right, they'll do what, 2 fucking lives a week, 3 hours, 4 hours. Some people do 10 hours. I don't understand how you have the life to do that. But the thing is like not just doing this, but I have other businesses I do.
Right.
But this is a 24/7, 365 deal because when you know people, you're around other people. Like even for me to go, and I've said this before, and people think I'm full of shit. Sometimes I can't walk down the street. People know who I am.
Right.
And it's like, I could be eating at dinner and somebody will walk up and it's like, in a way, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't want to be known for this, but it is what it is. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is even when to go have an espresso, a cigar, something to eat, even if it's somebody I haven't seen in a while, this is the subject of conversation. And it's like, I am not able to get away from it. Like these other guys, they get up in the morning, jerk off, beat the dog, whatever the fuck it is they do. But this is like nonstop. If an indictment comes down, my phone's ringing off the fucking hook from people. Oh, did you like when my social club got raided in Queens? Which was all over the news just a couple of months ago. I was literally on the way there and I get a text from a guy going, hey, where you at? I'm like, well, I'm like 1 stop away from getting off on Metropolitan. I'm gonna walk over to the club. Don't come here. The feds are everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's just stuff like that. So if I don't remember something, it's just because you figure I got over 150 shows on YouTube, now over 100 shows on the paid platform. I'm a little exhausted. I don't remember certain shit. You know what I mean?
Here's 4 of my answers. So the question was, it was who were, I think it was like a top 5. Who were the 5 most ruthless assassins in mob history or mob killers? Here's my answers. Well, I got 4 of them. The 4 most ruthless and why the times they were the most ruthless. Phil Leonetti when someone rips the raccoon off his head. Ron Previty when someone cuts in the buffet line. Nicky Scarfo after the sports writing, and your friend when the Eagles were losing.
Now I remember.
That's a pretty good list. Pretty accurate.
I had him. He was cracking up on that show, man.
Ron Previty.
Yeah, he likes that one, man. Christ. But
well, I mean, what do you expect? They were hanging with the cop. What did they expect?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
You know. Yeah.
That's
Mafia Man Cave is not lying here. Like somebody asked in the chat how he got made. Well, originally they didn't even want to do it because they all thought that Panisi had mental issues from day one, and then he commits that fucking jealousy murder. And here's the thing about Panisi that nobody really seems to mention. This motherfucker just decided one day when he woke up to just go rat. He wasn't facing charges, nothing like that. He was so delusional and so terrified. Like even the mob guys were laughing about it, saying, this motherfucker thinks just because we drove through a parking lot that we're going to kill him. Like that's some guilty conscience shit.
No, John has mental issues. I mean, and people think I'm like bashing him. I'm telling the truth.
No, he was a nut.
Mentally unstable.
Yeah, totally.
He caught a delusion.
Yeah, didn't you say his dead grandparents came to him
The house shook and they told me to rat.
Holy Christ, man.
And fuck, I always say it, man. Fuck the feds. He should have called Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I think that the title in the New York Post was Ghosta Nostra.
That's pretty good, man.
How about this? I'll tell you a funny one that people don't realize, right? He talks about Joey Amato. First off, Joey Amato, one of the nicest guys you can meet. And I mean that sincerely. What a gentleman. Complete gentleman, right? But he talks about how he put a tracking device on Joey's girl's car, right? And he wound up getting it the next, right? He got the call, and the next morning he went and did it. So he had a tracking device sitting around, but nobody caught that. Like, all right, that's not normal. And he had the computer program to track it. So he was tracking that broad down to Jersey all the time. But he forgets to tell people that. You know?
God.
Oh, he was nuts. He was nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't mix well with that life. Guys, I gotta run. I'm starving, man. I gotta eat.
Go ahead. I gotta end this anyway because
me too.
My neighbor,
Agnostic, it's nice meeting you, man. I'm sure we'll hook up again here.
You too. Hey Jeff, I'm gonna put my name in when I do the email.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
That can't get out, right?
No, I won't let anybody get that. No.
All right. The initials will be PD.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. You got it,
All
brother.
right, buddy.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome on here anytime, buddy.
You got it, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. This is the longest live we've ever done. I appreciate everybody being here. Unfortunately, I just got some really shitty fucking news. In Providence, where I lived, we were very close to the neighbors, and one of them just died. She was 82, beautiful lady. It's really shitty because when I was a kid, I'd go over there and play and I would write curse words on their wall in pencil. I was a nutcase kid, so I need to send her a text and see how the family's doing. It's just shitty. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out for 3.5 hours. And I consider this a success. For those of you that did win the contest, go ahead and shuffle over your information to me and we'll get you going from there. And we will keep doing these. We're going to start doing this at least once a week. But thank you all for coming in. And I know we had some shit bags come in here, but you know what? We got them out of here pretty quick. And for anybody that didn't like me that now sort of does, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. But everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, we do have Tales of the Night Horror podcast. And we will be back. Let's see. Today's Saturday, I think. Yeah, we will probably do a live next Tuesday or Wednesday. So just keep it dialed into Mob Talk Radio over on Facebook or on our community page here. But hold on. You're sending no. I'm sending a text to her daughter. If I'm talking to the dead through text messaging, my friend, holy shit. No, it's her daughter. Was texting me. And apparently I missed it. So anyway, thank you all for showing up, and we will see everybody next week on another episode of Mob Talk Radio Live.